You guys are all rolling in pretty quick. Trust me, I want to know what else she says too. But when people report us, we have to restart. You think people will be adults and not need to do that?
Because they like your lives.
That's true. Thank you. Couple more minutes, guys. Absolutely, you're welcome. I told you I was going to literally start it as soon as I ended it. Carrie she was friends with Karen in the beginning, and she's one of the people that she brought with to help look for John. She's also someone that perjured herself. I got those vibes too, to be completely honest. More from Carrie than Jen. Thank you. Two more minutes, guys. So where are we all at? How are we feeling Jen McCabe's testimony is going with the defense right now? It's a totally different person. She's getting more rattled and seems a little bit unsettled to me. She seems very unsettled to me. I agree with you on that one. Hi, Amy. How are you? If she is caught, that makes her the fourth. Wasn't I going to check who was the other one? Does anybody remember who the third person was? We have the EMT. We have Carrie. Who was the third person to perjure themselves? We didn't watch the first one either. We're doing this as the jury. Okay, let me see who perjured themselves here. So Carrie Roberts. Hi, Terry. How are you? Timothy Nuttall. He was the EMT at the time. Who's the third one? We're missing one. Did he perjure himself? I'm not sure that he did. I think he just left something out. I don't know that he specifically lied about it. So we might just physically have. I only have two that are in my notes. I can't remember who the third one was. All right, let's continue.
An argumentative question, and she responded in kind. Next question.
Thank you. You also testified in your direct examination, staying with Ms. Roberts for just a second,
They didn't interview Katie,
about a
I didn't
timeline
think.
that you and Ms. Roberts put together, correct?
Yes.
That's another example of the two of you talking about your own perceptions and comparing and contrasting those perceptions and putting it down on paper, correct?
No,
Yes or no?
it's a no. Can I explain or no?
I'm sure Mr. Brennan will have follow-up questions. After you gave that answer to those law enforcement officers at that separate law enforcement agency, they asked you was there anyone else that you contacted in that 10-minute period before we got a chance to talk to you? And your answer was no, correct?
Correct.
And that was a lie, correct?
It wasn't a lie, no.
Was it true? Was it the truth or a lie?
It wasn't a lie.
Okay, so it was the truth. You had not spoken to any other person between the time they contacted you telephonically and you said, I need 10 minutes, and then they came and
You can't. You can watch it on YouTube.
You didn't talk to anybody else or contact anybody else other than Matt McCabe, Carrie Roberts. Now you're testifying. That was a true statement.
I can't answer that yes or no.
It's a pretty binary. Had you talked, well, let me ask you this. In point of fact, you did talk to other people. Did you contacted others? In addition to Matt McCabe and Carrie Roberts, correct? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So when you said no to the answer, did you contact anyone other than Matt and Carrie? That would be, by definition, Ms. McCabe, a lie. Correct?
No.
It's not a lie. Is there some shade of lie that I'm not aware of?
It's the way you're asking the question. If I could explain,
Let me ask you
it
a
will
different
make
way.
more sense to you.
Hold on, I gotta write this in the notebook.
The agents asked you, I'm going to go over this one more time, then I'm going to move on. The agents asked you, in fact, did you contact anyone between the time we called you, set up the interview, and the 10 minutes before we walked in the door? They asked you that question, correct?
The objection sustained. Watch the choice of language.
I'm sorry. I meant the law enforcement agency. That law enforcement agency, the members of that law enforcement agency contacted you. Sorry. They asked you who you had contacted between the time they first telephoned you and walked in the door 10 minutes later. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Data point number one. Data point number two. You told them Matt and Carrie, correct?
Correct.
You had actually contacted, they then asked you, did you contact anyone else other than Matt and Carrie, correct?
Correct.
And you said no. Is that correct?
At that moment, I said no. Yes.
Correct. At any moment.
It was sustained because of the form of the question.
At that moment, because they had just come in my house.
Only one person can talk at a time.
You said the word no.
She was finishing her answer.
I had said no because I was in a situation where there are two officers from a different agent had come in, were asking me questions, or they had said, can I come in and ask you questions? At first I thought they were selling something. Then they identified themselves. I just dropped my kids off at school. Going to be completely honest, I hadn't brushed my teeth. So I kind of made some phone
Objection, Your Honor.
calls.
This is not
That's, so next question is.
Thank you. Ms. McCabe, after you said no, that you hadn't contacted anybody else, those two law enforcement officers from that separate agency who had told you it was a crime to lie to them, they left, correct?
Yes.
Subsequent to that, Mr. McCabe, your husband, objection.
Sustained.
They left you their card so you could call them if need be, correct?
Yes, they did.
And you in fact did call them back, correct?
Yes, I did.
Without telling me the content of the conversation you had, did you have a conversation with Mr. McCabe? Objection.
Sustained.
Why is that sustained?
Did you call them back and say, I'm calling you back because my husband told me that I lied to you and I better clear that lie up?
So sustained. Jurors, remember I told you before that only answers to questions are evidence? Be mindful of that. Next, yes.
Sidebar. Okay, so since I can't remember who the third one was, Jen's going to be our third one. So until we can remember who the third one actually was, So instead of having 4 people that have perjured, we have 3 because I can't remember who the other one was and she's not in my notes. He or she. She committed a crime by lying to the police. The question is, did she do it on purpose? You're really surprised that he's not being allowed to ask us questions? I'm not. It's my opinion this judge has showed a preference to the prosecution side in the last 2 days. Binks is knocked out cold behind me on his new cap bed. He's out cold. He just went, He's doing better today. He was just very medicated yesterday. I didn't get much sleep. Is it because they're married? Who's married? He still has a fever coming and going, but he's starting to feel a little bit better. Catnip sent somebody a subscription. Thank you, Catnip. By the way, guys, we do have subscriptions. That's where all these cool stickers come from. And the blooper reels and everything else. If you guys are interested in subscribing and you don't know how, just let us know. Thank you, Wendy. He had to run to the store.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. You ultimately called these officers back, correct?
Yes.
And you explained to them that you had been untruthful.
She
with them,
perjured.
correct?
She lied.
I explained that I had forgotten to mention a couple of people that I had reached out to.
You had forgotten. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
You had forgotten. You remembered
No,
Matt
Dre,
and
no.
you remembered Carrie,
Mhm.
but you had forgotten the others that you had just contacted maybe 30 minutes before.
Yes.
There were 5 people that you contacted.
I contacted Matt.
Let's go through them.
Yeah.
5?
I know 4 off the top of my head.
Okay, let's go through them.
Okay.
You contacted your husband, correct?
Yes.
You contacted Carrie Roberts, correct?
Yes.
You contacted Peggy O'Keefe, correct?
Yes.
Then, Ms. McCabe, you contacted the district attorney's office, correct?
My witness advocate.
The district attorney's office.
My witness advocate who works
Miss-
for the district attorney's
Thank
office.
you, Ms. McCabe.
Yes.
And you also left out that you contacted Brian
That is great
Albert
news,
himself, correct?
Yes, my brother-in-law.
For some reason, your brother-in-law, who's the 30-year Boston police detective, correct?
Yes.
And on whose lawn John O'Keefe was found dead or dying. Objection.
I'll allow that.
Correct?
Yes.
Holy
For some reason,
shit.
you did not want these officers to know that you had communicated specifically with Brian Albert, the homeowner, just before you talked to them. Correct?
No, incorrect.
There was some reason that was important enough for you to lie about that, even though you had been admonished that it's a crime to lie about that to those officers. Correct?
Incorrect. I didn't lie to them. I had forgotten who I had called.
And all of a sudden, you had an epiphany right after they walked out the door?
Yes. Matt said, who have you spoken to?
Objection.
I'm going to allow it. It's out. You're not to go any further.
Ms. McCabe, I want to draw your attention to
I'm starting to agree with that.
January 28th. You had gone out drinking with your family at the Waterfall Bar and Grill, correct?
I went with my husband and met my sister, yes.
And met the other family. correct? Of other family members, meaning
My niece.
Matt McCabe, Nicole, Chris, Julie, Caitlin, correct?
Yes,
I think you mentioned Tristan was there as well.
yes,
You were later joined by Nick and Karina Kolakithis, is that right?
yes,
Ultimately, Brian Higgins showed up
yes,
and Brian Albert showed up.
yes.
You previously indicated that Caitlin's boyfriend, Tristan, left early for whatever reason. He had errands to run or had to get to bed early for some reason, is that right?
He left before us, yes.
So he didn't stay through the shank of the evening.
Through the what?
The shank of the evening, through the course of the evening.
Oh, okay.
Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. And ultimately, at the waterfall, John O'Keefe and Miss Reed showed up as well.
yes.
You didn't see any tension at all between John O'Keefe and Karen that night, did you?
No, I didn't.
They appeared to be getting along,
Yeah, yes,
sort of a normal couple having a nice evening out together.
yes.
Neither John nor Karen Reed appeared drunk or inebriated, out of sorts.
No, I wouldn't categorize them as drunk or inebriated.
And not
But again, I don't know what the definition of drunk is.
Well, that's a fair statement. I'm not asking for their BAC, but they didn't appear to be stumbling around, falling all over themselves, and sloppy drunk, correct? No. Out of control, nothing like that.
No.
Okay. You did see Brian Higgins and Brian Albert at a high top table, sort of together through the course of that evening, correct?
We were all kind of around like a long high top table.
And John O'Keefe, and as you look at I'm going to use the perspective of the video that we've seen, that camera angle that we've seen. John O'Keefe and Miss Reed were sort of further off in the corner, closer to the bar rather than to the tables, correct? Along with the Kolakithises and those, and you, as a matter of fact.
Yes, at different times, everyone was kind of moving around. I spent the majority of the time that Karen and John were there speaking with Karen.
And that was sort of over toward the bar.
We weren't in the bar, we were at the table, so it was one side of the table and the other. It
Fair
wasn't
enough.
like far away.
Right.
Kind of, yeah.
I'm using the bar sort of as a landmark for not, and I didn't mean you were sidled up to the bar, but just
Yeah.
sort of as a landmark. You were closer to the bar than, for instance, in the foreground, which would be the high top tables in the foreground, correct?
We were just on the other, I'm confused about this. We were just on the other side of the table.
Okay. You did see on the opposite side of that high top table, that's where Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were standing, talking, and communicating with each other. Is that right?
I believe so. I was talking to Miss Reed. I wasn't really paying attention to them.
Did you ever see those two men get physical with one another that night?
This is that video.
I did not that night. I did not see that.
Have you ever seen a full review in all the hours that you've sort of prepped for your testimony? Have you been shown that waterfall video from the time you got there until the time you left?
Not the full video, but I have seen a good portion of it, yes.
This is that video we were talking about.
Okay, and you've certainly seen the portion where Brian Albert and Brian Higgins get up from the table and sort of get physical with one another, correct?
I would say more like play fighting, and Nick Kolakidis was a little bit like doing it with them as well.
That was not
So
play
the
fighting.
missing part is, all I'm asking is, did they touch each other? Yes.
I guess, yeah.
And you described it as play fighting, correct?
But I don't, we could watch the video, it might explain it better than I could.
Let's watch the video.
Oh, okay.
But right now, I'm just asking you how you remember. You remember them
No, we're a little
squaring off
behind.
with one another, playing, and squaring off with one another,
I
correct?
don't remember them squaring off. Like I said, I just watched the video. I don't remember it from that night, and I didn't really pay attention. It looked like foolish, like guys. Just I don't
Yes,
even
this
know
is
how to
today.
describe it.
From your perspective, having watched the video,
Mhm.
it appeared that they squared off on each other and sort of took fighting stance.
Yes, they
I
did.
didn't look at it that in depth, so I could not say that.
Welcome.
Did you see them walk up to each other and grapple with one another? Like they didn't notice punching each other.
Right.
I get that.
Mhm.
When they grapple with one another, like faking punches to each other,
I don't know.
almost like sparring a little bit.
I don't honestly know.
But you did see.
I saw them together.
Thank
It's
you for the
blurry, and they're
follow.
kind of. I don't know really what they're doing.
But they weren't standing
Welcome
there
to the
holding hands.
team.
Oh God, no, no.
They weren't on their phones.
they were engaging with each other playfully.
No, they were
I
not.
don't really.
Thank you, Lizzie.
That's my fault.
I'd have to watch the video to categorize it as play fighting. I didn't know it was a quick clip. I wasn't like focusing on Brian and Brian. I was just identifying that was myself in the video, and there was Miss Reed. And I believe Miss Reed actually did some play fighting to Matt.
There was, in fact, to Matt.
Yeah, I feel like she was about like this to Matt at one point. Yeah, in the video.
So let's talk about
Thank you, Alyssa.
Brian and Brian. Higgins and Brian Albert. Those two men, very large in stature, correct?
They're the guys, yeah.
Big boys.
She's not, in my opinion, as well.
Right?
Yeah.
They took a fighting stance with each other and started grappling, playing, coming toward each other as if they were engaging in a physical altercation, right?
I did not see that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Roll the tape.
You didn't even see it on the video.
I saw them on the video grabbing at each other. I didn't see stances but again, I didn't pay much attention to it.
And that's your best memory as you sit here today?
Yes.
Okay. Eventually, you, your husband, Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Nicole, Caitlin, everybody went over to 34 Fairview at the end of the night.
Yes.
Correct? The bar closed at, I'm guessing, midnight.
If they don't, I
that
will.
right?
I think we were wrapping up around then. I don't know what time it actually closes.
When you
I
left
agree, Julie.
Waterfall, the people that were still there included Matt, your husband, and John O'Keefe. Is that right?
Yes.
You walked out with Karina Kolakipis and Karen Reed.
Yes.
And you said to Miss Reed something along the lines of, "You're coming with me," correct?
I said, why don't you come with me?
Okay, fair enough. You were prompting her to join you for the ride over to 34 Fairview. Is that right?
Yes.
You even went outside and sort of waited in the cold. There's a video. Have you
Thank
seen
you
the
for the
video of you
follow.
outside? The surveillance video of you outside in the cold?
Yes.
And you're sort of waiting there, moving from foot to foot like it's freezing out, which I'm sure it was, correct?
Yes.
In a big puffy coat of some kind, right?
So the question was, I moving foot to foot in a coat?
Thank
Yes.
you, Parker.
My question is more, did you see yourself waiting outside in the cold?
I saw myself convert. I believe I was in a conversation at that point when I was standing out there with John and Karen.
And that's when you were asking Karen to come with you.
No, I had asked Karen previously when we were at the door to come with me because I didn't know how long Matt and John were going to be in the bar because they were in there still.
And that would have, by definition,
If you guys could do me a favor and help with the tapping, gotta do it on this side of the screen though.
brought Karen to 34 Fairview separate and apart from John O'Keefe if Karen had come with you.
Yes.
Miss Reed ultimately declined your invitation and did go with John. Is that right?
John ended up coming to the door, so they just went together. Yes.
And finally, you walked away and went with your husband, Matt, over to 34 Fairview in your personal vehicle, correct?
Yes.
When you arrived at 34 Fairview, were you the first among the group that we've just talked about to arrive, or had others arrived before you?
Others had arrived before me.
When you walked in to 34 Fairview, where was everybody generally located? Give me a layout of the interior of the home, how you walked in, and where everybody was located, the people that were there when you walked in from the waterfall.
So I walked in through the front door. I took a right into the kitchen. And then there were people sitting around the kitchen table, Brian Albert Jr., Julie Nagel, Sarah Levinson, Caitlin
That's a good
Albert.
question.
My sister was over more towards like the counters and the sink. And Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were, there's like a room right off of the kitchen, like a TV room. And they were in there just talking. I think Nicole had like put up some new pictures. Or maybe the sun and the Marines. They might have been looking at a picture. Vaguely have a faint memory of that.
You indicated that you walked in the front door, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I liked your question. I want to know that too. Guys, if you're just coming in, we're doing this as the virtual jury, so no spoilers, please. We're just being our own virtual jury.
Yeah, this is your, can you just take a look at that photograph just a quick second?
Yes.
Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes.
What do you recognize that photograph as being?
It's my sister's house.
34 Fairview?
Yes, sorry, 34 Fairview.
Brian Albert's house as well.
Yes.
I thought they sold
I'd
it.
like to mark this as marked for identification. There's a
Identification's fine.
thank you. If I may.
Play that video. They're not going to play the video.
Thank you.
I think she did too. I agree, Lizzie. If they don't show the video, I will show you guys the video. But I feel the jury, the actual real jury, has a right to see it.
What number is that, Mr. Wolf? 3. Your Honor, with the
I
court's
agree.
permission, I'm going to show a different exhibit until the other issue can be resolved. With the court's permission, it's Commonwealth Exhibit 3. Permission to publish?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf, could you highlight or enlarge the house as much as you can? Thank you.
Sarah was the other
Okay, do
one.
you recognize what's depicted in this photo? I know it's a little bit of an angle.
Yes.
Is it weird that I don't even remember Sarah? But that's the other one. Thank you.
What is that?
That is 34 Fairview.
Okay. Can you, I think this laser will work.
I don't even remember her being on the stand.
And point to the front door that you entered when you walked in the house. Okay, that's directly in the middle of the just to the left of the flagpole for this purposes of this photograph, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a beautiful
Is there
home.
another entry door on the house that you may not be able to see, but you know the general area?
Yes.
Where's that door?
So that would be, see where these two windows are?
Yes.
The door would be kind of behind that right there. So it's right to the left of those two windows.
And Ms. McCabe, just staying with doors for a second, is there another door associated with the garage?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, actually, yeah, there is. Right there.
Right there next to that side door?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Can I approach?
Yes.
Do you guys want me to go and show you the clip really quick? It's a very short clip. We will be back right where, okay. I'll do it really quickly. It's a very short clip. Here it is. I'm going to pull you guys in a lot closer for this. And this video is on micro dots. And again, I'm not able to verify that it's legit and real. I had it fell on my feed yesterday. But that is the fight they're talking about. Unless there's another one that we don't know about. I think that's what they're trying to show.
On page 192, line
I thought it would save my spot. It usually does. I forgot it doesn't when it's live.
Clip. I wasn't like focusing on Brian and Brian. I was just identifying Laura Levinson, Caitlin Albert. My sister was over more towards like the counters in the sink, and Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were, there's like a room right off of the kitchen, like a TV room, and they were in there just talking. I think Nicole had like put up some new pictures, so, or maybe the sun and the Marines, they might have been looking at a picture. Vaguely have a faint memory of that.
You indicated that you walked in the front door, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, now we're where we were.
Number is that, Mr. Wolf? 3. Your Honor, with the court's
After
permission,
seeing
I'm
that
gonna show a
video,
different
does
exhibit,
that change any of your
so
minds?
the other issue can be resolved with the court's permission. It's Commonwealth Exhibit 3. Permission to publish?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf, could you highlight or enlarge the house as much as you can? Thank you. Ms. McCabe, do you recognize what's depicted in this photo? I know it's a little bit of an angle.
Yes.
What is that?
That is 34 Fairview.
Okay. Can you, I think this laser will work. May I approach?
Thank you, Alyssa.
And point to the front door that you entered when you walked in the house. Okay, that's directly in the middle of the just to the left of the flagpole for this purposes of this photo.
It's
correct?
zoomed
Yes.
in so you can't
Okay.
see where the others are.
Is there another
It looked like
entry
that was at
door
the
on
door
house
to the
that you may not be able to see, but you know the
establishment.
general area?
Yes.
Where's that door?
So that would be, oh, see where
Thank
these two
you.
windows are?
Yes.
The door would be kind of behind that right there. So it's right to the left of those two windows.
And Ms. McCabe, just staying with doors for a second, is there another door associated with the garage?
Oh, actually, yeah, there is. Right there.
Right there next to that side door.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
You didn't go in the side door, you went in the front door that night.
Yes.
You indicated that once inside the house, you were sort of in the kitchen area. Is that right?
I was in the kitchen, yes.
You weren't paying special attention to Brian Albert or Brian Higgins, what they were doing. As a matter of fact, I think they went into a different room. Is that right?
There's a room, kind of the kitchen opens up into the TV room. So they were in there.
So the only two that you recognized at this point in the night, not being sort of with everybody else, were Brian Albert and Brian Higgins.
Thank you for tapping and getting us to 20,000, guys. I greatly appreciate that.
Separated out in the family room or whatever that room's called, living room.
Yeah, if you like just right there, you know, right where they are. Just
Okay.
kind of right in the next room.
When you first pulled up,
Thank you for the
did
follow,
you
Katie.
notice any vehicles in front of Brian Albert's house?
Yes, I did.
What vehicles did you notice? Vehicle or vehicles did you
Just
notice?
one.
What was that vehicle?
It was a Jeep.
Can you describe the Jeep for us, please?
Really can't. All I can say is that when I pulled down, the Jeep was on the parked on the street in front of the mailbox, and I turned into the driveway.
Okay. Did the Jeep have any special features on it that you remember, that you
No.
can describe?
Not that I can recall.
Big giant snowplow on the front?
Again, it was dark. I didn't really pay much detail to it beyond I just asked, whose Jeep is that?
And did you learn whose Jeep that was?
I did, yes.
Whose Jeep was it?
It was Brian Higgins' Jeep.
And you said that it was parked in front of the mailbox, is that right?
Yes,
So as you're looking at the house, the mailbox would be closest to the driveway, is that right?
yes.
Rather than, for instance, the flagpole on the other side of the lawn.
Correct. So if the flagpole's here, there's the lawn, and then here's the drive. I mean, here's the mailbox, and then the driveway's over here. Does that make sense?
It does to me.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
It doesn't make sense to me why Brian Higgins' Jeep was parked outside of the Alberts house at that time when everyone was supposedly sleeping inside.
You've previously indicated that the back edge of that vehicle, Brian Higgins' Jeep, was at the side, basically, of the driveway, which is what you just described. It would be blocking the mailbox, the rear end associated with the driveway entrance, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever discussed having seen that Jeep in that spot with anybody else in this case?
Is that including previous testimony or?
It is. At any time. Before you testified at the previous hearing, had you discussed having seen that Jeep in that spot with anybody else? For instance, your husband?
Objection sustained. She can't answer now. Is he trying to say that her husband was there before she got there and everything?
Was there any other car on that curb line, if you will, other than the Jeep when you pulled in?
Not that I remember.
And Brian Higgins, if it's his Jeep, he's in the house, that Jeep's not moving, correct? So it stayed where it was.
Yes.
At some point, did you observe Miss Reed's vehicle pull up to the driveway? I'm sorry, pull up to the house.
I was told there was a vehicle outside, so I went and looked.
Where was that vehicle? When you looked that first time, where was Miss Reed's SUV?
When I went to the front door and looked out, it was straight ahead.
So that would be parallel, actually in line with the Jeep, correct?
Yes.
Directly in front of the Jeep.
I don't know the distance, but yes, you're correct. It was in front of the Jeep.
So if the Jeep was a normal, it's a full-size Jeep, correct?
I don't know what size it is.
Certainly the SUV is a full-size SUV.
Yes.
Right. So that would take up much of the room of the curb area in front of 34 Fairview, between the Jeep, assuming there's a snowplow,
right,
and a full-size SUV, correct?
I'm not really sure of the whole area, but there was the Jeep and then there was the car. I just don't know the distance between them.
You gave a description of the vehicles that were out in front of 34 Fairview in your January 29, 2022 interview with Trooper Proctor, correct?
He came to my house and asked me questions, correct?
When you gave that interview to Trooper Proctor, you indicated to him that you first observed Miss Reed's vehicle parked on the street by the driveway, correct?
I never said by the driveway, no.
So if that's in a report, Trooper Proctor got that fact wrong, got that detail wrong.
Sustained.
Objection sustained.
If in fact, well, let me ask it this way. What did you say to Trooper Proctor about where that vehicle was?
Miss Reed's vehicle?
Thank you for the follow.
I told him it was straight out front, the window. The straight out front of the front door. Sorry.
Trooper Proctor wrote a report about his interview with you, correct?
Correct.
You've seen that report in other hearings, is that right?
Yes.
Your interview with him was on January 29th. Do you remember the date? I'm sorry, I just said the date. Do you remember the time? My mistake.
I don't remember the exact time. I'm assuming afternoon, like after 12, or I'm not 100%. Sorry.
You had been contacted by Trooper Proctor while you were still at 34 Fairview, is that right?
Yes.
Ultimately, instead of coming from the Canton Police Department to 34 Fairview, you went home to your house.
I did.
To
Yeah.
the Country Lane address.
Yes, I did.
And Trooper Proctor ended up meeting you there, correct?
Yes.
And in addition to you and Matt being there,
Mhm.
Brian Albert showed up, correct?
I asked him to come.
So you asked your brother-in-law to come to the interview that you were having with Trooper Proctor formally in furtherance of his investigation surrounding the circumstances of this case? Right?
No.
But Brian Albert did show up at your house.
He did. I asked him to come, yes.
And he was inside the house when Trooper Proctor ultimately interviewed you, correct?
He was in the house, yes.
And you had spoken to Brian Albert before Trooper Proctor had interviewed you formally, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Matter of fact, several times you had to have spoken to him at 34 Fairview. You've already said that, right?
Oh, right, yeah, we were all there in the kitchen.
And then obviously you spoke to him about the interview before Trooper Proctor got to your house to interview you on the 29th as well, correct?
We were just talking about what happened. It wasn't specifically about Trooper Proctor.
Right, not about Trooper Proctor. You talked to Brian Albert about the circumstances of this case before you spoke with Trooper Proctor.
Yes, I had.
I have a feeling something big is coming.
Do you remember exactly what
Again.
you said to Trooper Proctor about the location of the SUV in front of the house?
I know what I said, yes.
Okay, what exactly did you say to him?
I said the car was straight out front of the front door. When I was looking out the front door, it was straight ahead.
Isn't it true that what you actually said, Ms. McCabe, is that you first observed the vehicle parked on the street by the driveway
one,
facing
the
in the
current one.
direction toward Chapman? Objection.
Thank you for the follow.
Is that what you said?
Those are not my words, no.
Okay, next question.
You've already indicated that following the events of January 28th and 29th, you have spoken extensively with your family and your friends, members of your family and your friend group about what happened that night, correct?
Yes,
And that includes Brian and Nicole Albert, is that right?
yes,
That includes Matt McCabe, your husband, correct?
yes,
That includes Chris and Julie Albert,
yes.
includes other people that were there that night, including Brian Higgins.
I haven't spoken to Brian Higgins since, I believe, John O'Keefe's wake.
But you did
Why
speak
not?
to him that morning at 34 Fairview, is that right?
Yeah, oh, yes, he was there, yes.
As a matter of fact, he's the one that told you to call Officer Lank back and have Officer Lank come back for the additional statement that you wanted to give Officer Lank. Is that right?
He may have suggested it, I'm not sure.
So in those discussions that you've had with all these folks, you've talked to the details about that night being at the bar, the house, who was where, all of those things, correct?
We sure do.
Yes,
You've talked about the timing of the night, who arrived, when people arrived at 34 Fairview, when people arrived at Waterfall Bar and Grill, correct?
no, those really aren't details we discuss. I mean, everybody kind of knows when they came and when they left. We talk more about, living with everything that we've gone through.
Well, what about on the morning of January 29th, when everybody was still in that sort of friends and family gathering inside 34 Fairview?
When I was there with my husband and sister and brother-in-law and, then Brian's friend and Julie Albert, I was trying to piece together what had happened. They were all being supportive. They had no idea what happened. We were just kind of sitting there in utter shock, waiting to hear from Kerry about John. It was nothing more than just us being together and trying to figure out what had happened. I had gotten a phone call from Karen to help her.
And
here's where I am.
during that conversation, or that series of conversations, you were sharing what your observations of that evening were, what your story was, how the evening started, how it ended for you, correct? Or the morning ended for you, correct?
No, I'm not correct.
Same one.
During the time that you folks were inside the house discussing this, there was no law enforcement agent or officer inside that house, correct?
Correct.
So the entire family and the friend network that we're talking about, with whom you discussed all these events, everybody was entitled to and did coordinate their statements without any separation and without any law enforcement oversight, correct?
I was with my family, my sister, my brother-in-law. It wasn't really a big group of us. As I've mentioned, I had 5 or 6 people. I was in shock. I didn't know what had happened. They were just asking me what happened,
And
questions like that, and I absolutely told them. But
Okay.
it was no story. There was no.
Ma'am, you explained this much differently yesterday. You said that, or was that Karen Reed? Hold on. You or Karen, or not Karen Reed, oh Jesus. You or Carrie said that you guys made a detailed flowchart at John O'Keefe's mother's direction.
Us being allowed to do it, that was my family. They were just there with me.
But nobody was separated by law enforcement, correct?
I don't believe there was a reason to separate us.
Nobody, well, notwithstanding what you think was the reason, you're not a professional investigator, correct?
I'm not,
You're
no.
not a trained investigator.
No,
You're certainly not a homicide detective, correct?
no.
None of you witnesses were ever separated, were you?
There was no reason to separate us.
I'm not asking you if there was a reason, okay? I'm asking you whether or not actually anybody was separated in that house. Or was everybody allowed to talk amongst themselves?
I was with
They
my
sure
family. We didn't need to be allowed.
Okay. I'm trying this again. Was anybody in that house separated? Were the witnesses separated from each other? The family who are witnesses, were they separated from each other? By law enforcement.
At that point, I don't think anyone but myself and Matt were maybe even witnesses.
Okay. I'm not asking you what your determination of who the witnesses are. I'm asking you whether the folks in that house were separated by law enforcement before you were able to have discussions about the events of January 28th and 29th. That's a
No.
yes or no question. Were you separated or not?
At one point, when Mike Lank was in the house, he had separated and talked to Nicole, then Brian, then Matt.
And then you promptly left and left everybody in the house together, correct?
He left us, yeah.
Right. Nobody was taken down to the station, is that right?
No?
As a matter of fact,
Thank you
Trooper
so
Proctor didn't even
much.
come over to 34th Fairview. The scene
That was the first gift you ever sent, and you picked to send it to me, so I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
of the incident to interview you.
Thank you,
Correct.
Mona.
I asked him to meet at my house because I had to go home to my children.
And he accommodated you, didn't he?
He did, yes.
And he
We are the virtual jury, so we have opinions too. I personally am now at the mindset that Karen Reed is not guilty.
accommodated the fact that Brian Albert escorted you to the house for your interview, correct?
Brian didn't escort me, no.
Well, he went to your house at the same time that Trooper Proctor was there to interview you, correct?
He came at some point, yes, by himself.
Before Trooper Proctor did the interview.
I'm not sure if he was there, if he got there before or when.
Well,
He arrived.
You've testified in the past that
Yes.
Brian Albert came to your house alone. I don't mean you came in the same car.
Yes.
But he followed you over to your house before Trooper Proctor ever got there. And he was in the house while Trooper Proctor conducted his interview, correct?
Yes, Brian was
All
in the
right.
house for the interview.
Thank you.
No.
You've already indicated.
Don't Google it because we're doing this as the virtual jury. I'll tell you just the bare minimum. Karen Reed is on trial for a second time. The first one was a mistrial for unaliving her boyfriend, who was a cop.
Indicated that you have been discussing this case with certain other witnesses, not for days or weeks or months, but literally for years. Most specifically, Carrie Roberts, correct?
And since you haven't seen the other ones, I have all the previous days of this trial on my YouTube, Michelle's Criminal Musings.
The case in general, yes.
Just before Carrie Roberts testified at a grand jury proceeding in this case, you were with her, weren't you?
I don't recall what you're talking about.
Do you remember being at the grand jury?
Yes,
You remember testifying at the grand jury?
yes, the one back in
April.
April.
11th.
Yes,
We're
yes.
glad that you're here.
Yes,
Sounds
yeah,
right.
sounds about right. Yeah,
You remember being there in an anteroom with some other folks?
what's an anteroom?
An anteroom, a waiting room?
Oh, yeah.
Waiting for your testimony?
Yes,
An
Carrie Roberts
anteroom?
being with you in that exact same anteroom?
yes.
And that was right before.
Thank you for the follow.
I believe so. Yes,
Hey, we don't tell people to shut up in here. That's not how we do things. In my lives, everyone is respectful or they leave.
Answer to my question, you two were together literally
Yes.
I don't know what the ante room
When
is,
she
honestly.
testified at the grand jury, was that before or after you
Thank
two
you,
had gotten
Kate.
together and created this timeline?
We did the timeline right after John had passed.
So she testified, the answer is she testified after the timeline was created, correct?
Yes.
Did I misunderstand you? I'm so sorry. When I see that, I have to jump on it right away, because if I don't, in the true crime community, drama ensues, and I don't want that here. I'm too old for that shit. Sorry.
Brian Albert and his family had a dog on January 29th.
Thank you for the
2022, did they
follows.
Yes, they did.
What was that dog's name?
Chloe,
What kind of dog was Chloe?
German Shepherd.
Do you know if it was a purebred German Shepherd or a mix of Malinois and German Shepherd, or do you know?
I have no idea.
Big dog,
Yeah, good sized dog. Yeah.
70-pounder.
Thank you, Angela.
I don't know its weight.
Wasn't a little munchkin dog, though. It was
No,
a full-size German
it's a
Shepherd.
full size. Yeah.
I'm thinking that too.
On the morning that you described going into the house, January 29th, 6:40 a.m. or so, you indicated that you burst into the bedroom to wake your sister and Brian Albert.
Oh,
Is that
let me go
right?
back. Sorry.
Yes, I went into
That was
the
my
bedroom.
fault.
After, for days or weeks or months, but literally for years. Most specifically, Carrie Roberts, correct?
The case in general, yes.
Thank you for the follow.
Just before Carrie Roberts testified at a grand jury proceeding in this case, you were with her, weren't you?
I don't recall what you're talking about.
Thank you for
Do
the
you
follow.
remember being at the grand jury?
Yes.
You remember testifying at the grand jury?
Yes, the one back in
April.
April.
I think,
Yes, yes,
2002.
yes.
Sounds
Yeah,
right.
sounds about right. Yeah.
You remember being there in an ante room with some other folks?
What's an ante
An
room?
ante room, a waiting room.
Oh, yeah.
Waiting for testimony.
Yes,
You remember Carrie Roberts being with you in that exact same ante room?
yes.
And that was right before her testimony, correct?
I believe so. Yes.
So, in answer to my question,
Mhm.
you two were together literally just before she testified at the grand jury, which was the first formal under oath testimony that she ever gave. Is that right?
Yes.
That's not a settling thing to know that they were together before they testified at the grand jury.
When she testified at the grand jury, was that before or after you two had gotten together and created this timeline?
We did the timeline right after John had passed.
So she testified, the answer is she testified after the timeline was created, correct?
Yes.
I agree with you.
Brian Albert and his family had a dog on January 29th, 2022, did they not?
Yes, they did.
What was that dog's name?
Chloe,
What kind of dog was Chloe?
German Shepherd.
Was it
The same
do you know
day,
if
I
it was a
think.
purebred German Shepherd or a mix of Malinois and German Shepherd, or do you know?
I have no idea.
Big dog,
Yeah, good sized dog. Yeah.
70-pounder.
I don't know
I
either,
don't
Kathy.
know its weight.
Wasn't a little munchkin dog, though. It was
No,
a full-size German
it's a
Shepherd.
full size. Yeah.
On the
Where's
morning
Chloe?
that you described going into the house, January 29th, 6:40 a.m. or so, you indicated that you burst into the bedroom to wake your sister and Brian Albert. Is that right?
Yes, I went into the bedroom.
It's still dark out, correct?
Yes.
Right.
There had been relative chaos on the lawn for a number of minutes, from about 6:10 until at least 6:40. And then there were still emergency vehicles with lights on, engines running,
It's very sus.
chaos, relative chaos, bedlam, as somebody would say, on that front lawn, correct?
Was more on their side lawn and down the street, kind of like all the cruises. A lot of them were
Okay.
behind there. Yeah. Lot.
Right in front of 3430, correct?
To the side, in the side yard of 34 Fairview, yes.
And on the lawn of 34 Fairview,
Yes,
where first responders and responders.
But should it have been
Yes.
done is the question.
At night was screaming to the top of her lungs, is that right?
yes, she was.
And Carrie Roberts was screaming back at her,
Yes,
shut up or shut the fuck up, right?
yes.
He
At
dropped the
6:40
F-bomb.
a.m., under the cover of darkness, you walked in the front
I
door
don't know.
of the unlocked front door of Brian Albert's house, correct?
I went into my sister's house, correct?
Thank you for the
It wasn't Brian
follow.
Albert's house?
And Brian Albert, yes, I'm sorry.
You then climbed the stairs up toward the bedrooms, correct?
Yes,
Me too, Angela.
You walked into the bedroom door where Brian Albert and Nicole Albert, according to you, were sleeping. Is that
Yeah.
right?
yes,
So you would agree that you unexpectedly, in terms of their view, unexpectedly walked into their house basically in the
That's
middle of the
funny.
night, middle of the morning.
yes,
You indicated that when you went through their bedroom door, you sort of burst through, correct?
I opened the door. I don't know if I used the word burst.
You previously indicated that when you went through the door, it was chaotic because you were so amped up from the events. Is that right?
I don't know if I used those words.
Have the court reporter
Would you
read
say
it
that you
back.
were loud or quiet?
I think as I explained earlier, I was like where everything was going on around me, and I was kind of like in just a state of shock. And I remember thinking, I don't want to startle them, but I have to wake them up, because obviously when I wake them up, they're going to be panicked and think something terrible happened.
Well, why didn't you want to startle them? Something terrible had happened.
I didn't want to give them a heart attack when I woke them up.
But you didn't walk up and just nudge them and say, hey, Cole, can you wake up? You didn't do that.
No, I was like, Brian, Nicole, wake up, wake up.
Okay, exactly. But you were
Can someone tell Molly if she's not getting any sound that it's on her end to leave and come back into the live?
saying it in that voice either. You were saying, Brian, Nicole, get up.
I'm not sure if it was that loud, but I definitely was. You definitely like trying to wake them up. Yes.
What was the dog?
Wait, you weren't talking about the sound in here, were you? I'm sorry. Ignore me.
Dog's reaction.
I have a feeling she wasn't talking about
I don't
this
recall
sound.
seeing the dog.
So,
Thank you, Megan.
according to you, to the dog at least, you can get in the mind of a dog, a relative stranger walks in the front door, climbs a set of stairs, the house is completely dark, walks into a bedroom door and starts barking. The person starts barking, get up, wake up, Brian, Nicole. And you don't remember seeing or hearing a dog at all. Okay.
Sustained.
Why is that sustained? Why is that
As you
sustained?
indicated, it's not that the dog wasn't reactive, it's that you don't remember the dog even being there, correct?
I have no memory of the dog, no.
But you do know that that dog sleeps in Brian and Nicole's room. Correct?
It may, I don't know for sure.
That's a huge thing. I saw somebody asked, this is the trial of Karen Reed versus, well, state of Massachusetts versus Karen Reed, where she's on trial for unaliving her boyfriend.
The reason you don't remember the dog being there is because the dog wasn't there, was it?
I don't remember the dog.
Right. So when you walked out of the room,
No.
when you walked in the house, didn't see the dog.
No,
When you walked up the stairs, no dog.
no,
Walked down the hallway, no dog.
no.
Walked into Brian and Nicole's bedroom door, no dog.
I don't remember seeing the
I
dog.
realize that. Dog or no dog? No dog.
I don't remember seeing the dog. Doesn't mean it wasn't there or it was there. I just don't remember seeing it.
Well, no dog came up to you and barked at you, correct?
No,
You didn't see or hear a dog whining or howling, did you?
no,
You didn't hear or see a dog scratching at the door?
no.
There's no sign of a dog at all in Brian and Nicole Albert's house at 6:41 a.m. when you walked into that house, correct? Or 6:40?
I don't remember seeing the dog.
And this was a 70-pound German Shepherd, correct?
I don't know the weight of the
Have you
dog.
ever heard a description given about that dog by Brian Albert? Anybody else? That dog was not good with strangers. Yeah. Did you know
Why is that sustained?
You said you're very, very dear friends, and obviously dear friends with Brian Albert, relations with Nicole Albert, your sister. Are you aware that that dog was not good with strangers? Object.
Do you know that?
I don't. It wasn't good with other dogs, is what I knew, so I could never bring my dog over there. That's all I know about the dog.
Right. Had some aggression, correct? At least with other dogs.
Possibly.
Possibly with other dogs.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. If you could remind the jurors, in your memory, who was the last person to leave the house at 34 Fairview on the early morning hours of January 29th?
I believe Caitlin left after us, my niece.
Thank you.
This is Massachusetts versus Karen Reed. She's on her second trial. The first ended in a mistrial. It's for unaliving her boyfriend, who was a police officer.
At some point, we've already talked a little bit about this. You said you looked out the front door glass. Was it a window or is the whole door glass?
The whole door was glass, I believe.
I don't know that.
And pardon my ignorance, is there like a wooden door that is open and there's a storm door that's all glass that was closed? Is that what we're dealing with?
I believe
Yes,
so,
accused
yes.
of. Thank
that
you.
Sounds about right.
We're a few minutes behind.
Can we take one more glance? I'm going to back up for a quick second. Okay. Can we take one more glance at that?
As we're serving as the virtual jury, we have not looked up this case to know if this was the same judge, so I don't know. Thank you, guys. They're saying same judge. It really is a beautiful house. Kathy, they said yes.
Point of reference. Please show the jurors where Brian and Nicole Albert's bedroom window is in that photograph.
Sure, it's right there.
Upper left window, uppermost left window, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, it shouldn't be. So I agree with you.
Let me get back on track. You indicated that you looked out that storm door and saw Miss Reed's vehicle, her SUV, directly in front of you, correct?
Yes.
That was the first time you noted or clocked that SUV being there?
First time, sorry.
The first time you noted the SUV, in other words, that you visually saw it, it was directly in front of you. It was not back by the mailbox, correct?
Correct.
Did you still see the Jeep parked back by the mailbox?
I looked out the window. I saw the car. I really didn't pay attention to details of other cars. I just looked and saw her car.
When you first...
That's another point that gets me, that Brian Higgins' car was outside the Albert's house when she got there. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, dog was aggressive, got in other fights. Okay, thank you.
First looked out that window and saw, or looked out the door and saw the SUV. What time was that?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Does the time 2:23 a.m. sound familiar?
2:23?
I'm sorry, 12:23. My mistake.
I'm not sure.
When you looked out the door, did you see any other vehicles
Thank you for
at
the
that
follow.
time? Other than the Jeep, other than Miss Reed's
Thank
SUV?
you.
I believe I saw lights. Oh, sorry. Lights like over here somewhere. If the Jeep's there and the car, is there.
Okay, can you
It's a really
describe
good
for the
question.
record what you did? The theirs don't come across on the record.
Oh,
so
sorry.
to your left
Yes.
is...
Straight out would be Miss Reed's vehicle that I looked at.
Okay.
I kind of looked at that. I remember my peripheral vision seeing lights over there. To the left, sorry.
All right, so the way that you're describing this, and that's lights to a vehicle, correct?
Yes,
Matter of fact, you know what vehicle that is.
I do, yes.
What vehicle is it? Describe it to the jurors, please.
It's Ryan Nagel's.
Ryan Nagel's what? Car, truck?
I believe he has a truck.
Okay.
Who's Ryan Nagel?
So what you're describing is you looked out the window, you saw Miss Reed's SUV directly in front of you. Right behind that, in line, was Brian Higgins' Jeep, and behind that was Ryan Nagel's truck. Is that right?
I'm not sure where his truck lines up. I just remember seeing lights. I just quickly saw Miss Reed's car and went back into the room. I wasn't, I apologize, paying attention for like specific details about cars.
At some point, you did
Your credibility has officially gone out the window in my book alone.
become interested in exactly what time Ryan Nagel's truck arrived, correct? This is after the fact, well after the fact, months after the fact.
Yes, I did.
As a matter of fact, you took it upon yourself to ask Julie Nagel, Ryan's sister, to send you something, correct?
Yes, I did.
What did you ask her to send you?
I ran into the two of them.
I didn't ask you who you ran into, just what did you ask her to send you?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. A text message.
A screenshot of a text message.
Yes, a screenshot of a text message between Julie and Ryan Nagel.
You knew at the time that Miss Nagel, very obviously, was a percipient witness in this case, correct?
I believe so. It was very early on.
Well, I mean, she was in the house.
Yes,
She was in the house when Miss Reed's vehicle appeared, correct?
correct,
She was in the house when you were looking at the vehicle.
correct,
She was in the house when everybody came home from the 34 Fairview from the Waterfall Bar and Grill, correct?
correct.
She was interacting with those inside the house, the very time we're talking about, right?
Yes,
She went outside at some point to talk to her brother outside the house, right behind the SUV that you're describing as Miss Reed's SUV, correct?
yes.
So you knew that she was, and you knew all this.
It was Julie,
When
right?
you asked her for that
Julie
screenshot.
Nagel.
I was trying to piece together
You
the
knew all
time.
this when you asked for the screenshot. You
Yes.
knew what her position was in this case, correct?
She had no involvement. What happened
I
outside
didn't ask
is
you if she had
different.
involvement.
Let her finish her answer.
Thank you for the follow,
Go ahead.
Jesse.
Can you finish that answer?
I didn't. What happened outside was separate from anything that happened inside.
Based on whose determination?
You knew all of that information. That Julie Nagel was a percipient witness in this case, as was everyone else inside 34 Fairview, when you asked for that screenshot, correct?
Yes,
That is another example of you coordinating information with other witnesses in this case, correct?
no, that is not correct.
It is too.
Were you ever advised by Michael Proctor not to coordinate information with other witnesses in the case? Did he ever say, don't do that?
I don't recall.
So you don't recall, or he didn't?
I don't recall if he did or not.
Okay. If he did tell you not to coordinate with other witnesses, this would be a breach of that agreement, wouldn't it? Objection.
Sustained.
What? Your Honor, I know you can't hear me, but I'm going to pretend you can. Why was that sustained? That was a pretty damn important question. Thank you, Connie.
Indeed, once you got that screenshot, we'll talk about that in just a second. When you got the screenshot, did you ever share that with law enforcement?
Thank you.
I'm not sure if I did or not.
You never provided that to Michael Proctor or any other investigator, did you?
I'm not sure if I did or not.
As a matter of fact, Ms. McCabe, the only
Thank you
reason
for
we
the
know about
follows.
that screenshot is because of the extraction on your phone, right?
If that's how you know about it, I'm not sure.
So she hid the fact that Julie sent her a screenshot per her request. And now she suddenly doesn't remember again. Thank you for the follows, guys.
You asked for that screenshot for your own personal use, for your own personal information, for your own personal coordination, correct, of what happened that night.
I don't know, Monica.
What are you asking? There's 3 questions there.
Oh,
Did you
the screenshot was a screenshot with her husband. I believe it was a text with her husband, if I'm remembering correctly. If I'm not, please correct me.
ask for that screenshot for your own personal use?
Yes,
And indeed, you do know what time it was that you looked out and saw Ryan Nagel's truck, because the screenshot told you that, correct?
The screenshot told me when Ryan Nagel pulled up. It didn't tell when I saw.
And what was the time when Ryan Nagel indicated that he pulled up?
I'd have to look at the screenshot.
23 a.m. 23 a.m. somewhere.
If you have it and that's what it says, absolutely.
Yeah, approach. Read that to yourself. I like it to yourself to be heard.
Right, why don't you come to council? Why don't you come to council?
I know you did not come in here and just hiss at him. I did not raise a bully. Get out. You do not do that. It's okay, Binksy. Sorry, guys. Does anybody else feel like this case just blew up? Do you, Kathy? It's just the way I am. Let's make one thing clear. If I'm ever arrested for any reason, not that I ever have been or plan to be, if I am, that is who I want to be my lawyer. The defense hasn't presented a case yet, Kathy. This is still the prosecution's case. I need to make us a sticker with pants that are on fire for when people are lying. Yeah, what happened, well, so far, you mean in the case or just with Jen? Well, there's a lot. We found out that Mr. Higgins' car was also outside of their house, of the Alberts' house, as well as another man, a pickup truck, as well as another man. She perjured, saying she didn't contact anyone before the agents interviewed. She lied to them when they told her it was illegal to do so. During that time, she contacted Carrie, her husband, Brian, Albert, and Peggy, and the DA's office. She was told to not lie and didn't inform them. She did not see a dog in that house or hear a dog in that house. And she did specify that the dog was aggressive. She also texted Julie Nagel and asked for a screenshot during all of this. I'm not 100% sure how we get where that goes, but yeah. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. When I first saw this case, I thought she was guilty for no reason other than I just felt like she was. And I hate that I had that thought, but I did, and I know that. But I didn't say anything. I waited, and you want to know when I changed my mind? Opening statements. Oh, absolutely. And if you guys missed anything, I put the live up on YouTube when I'm done with the live on TikTok. It's under Michelle's Criminal Musings. Link in bio.
Thank you.
Oh, and they showed a video. Well, they didn't show it. They spoke about a video where the two men, Brian and I can't remember which other man it was. They almost got in an altercation. Like, he pulled his arm and they turned and started to square up on each other. We showed it. Yes, he is. You've missed so much. No, this side. You have missed so
Is the
much.
page available
Okay.
I'm sorry,
for this?
just a yes or no, does that refresh your recollection about anything that we did discuss?
Here.
It's just
Nice.
what we've discussed. It doesn't really refresh.
So it does not refresh her memory. Next question.
I don't think that's what she said.
Is that's what
Yes.
I believe it was
That was her
Brian
answer.
and
That does
John.
not refresh your recollection? Objection.
That was her answer. Next question, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you.
My husband already knows I want Mr. Jackson as a lawyer if anything ever happens.
About anything we were just discussing.
It's a speculation that that's where the marks on his arm came from, was a dog. Is who, Mr. I don't know. You want to be Mrs. Jackson? Then we can say, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Okay, as you can see my pizza's here. I'm going to take my face off the screen and quietly eat as we listen. Nobody needs to see me eat.
They did see what you're eating.
I know, that's what I said.
Regarding me asking Julie Nagel for the time?
Correct.
Yes, it does.
Okay. And what time did that was attendant to a screenshot that you asked for, correct?
I made her leave.
Yes.
And that time was what?
Do you remember the
Can I look at the paper? I was reading everything. I didn't
So
look at the
the
exact.
question is whether you remember the.
Oh, do I remember it? I don't remember the exact time, but I can read it off the paper. That's different than a memory.
That's different. Next question.
So this does not refresh your recollection of the time that was reflected on that screenshot.
I can read the time, but in my memory.
Another question. I have to do it this way. This is
Okay,
basic.
sorry.
Does it refresh your recollection as you sit here, having read this, as to the time that was reflected on that screenshot?
I don't, sitting here today, the only reason I know there's a time is because of what's on that paper.
She did.
But you did ask for a screenshot from Ms. Nagel, correct?
Yes, I
And that-
did.
And that screenshot said something to the effect of outside. Is that right? What time?
Just that question. The screenshot said something about outside.
Is that right?
I believe it said here, yes.
Or maybe it's
Yeah,
here.
something
And
similar.
it was a screenshot from Ryan Nagel to Julie Nagel indicating that he had arrived.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure, it was a screenshot of a text message from Ryan Nagel to Julie Nagel saying, I've arrived. In other
Yes.
words, I've arrived at 34 Fairview.
Yes, it was.
Because he was intending to give her a ride home, which she had asked for. Is that right? Objection. You did see Julie Nagel go
Permission
outside
granted.
and approach the vehicle, correct?
I never saw her go near the vehicle. I saw her go outside.
Got it. Did she ultimately come back indoors?
Yes.
Did she come back in with anybody else?
No.
About what time would you estimate that to have been in the course of that evening?
Thank
When
you for
she
the
came
follow.
back inside,
When she walked out and then came back inside?
soon after she went out, she talked to her brother. She came back inside.
And about what time of day was that? If you know.
I mean, this was all happening while we were at my sister's house.
Right. Was it 12:15, 12:30, 12:45, 1 o'clock?
Well, according to the paper, it would have had to
That's
been.
not what I'm
Not
asking.
would according, not.
I thought you didn't
Do
see
you
the
have
time
any
on the
recollection
paper.
About, if not down to the minute, about what time that was?
I could say I'd have to be. I wasn't looking at my watch that night, so it's very hard for me to give a time just off of my memory.
But you just said
I know what
night.
I've seen, but
Okay.
sorry.
You did see both
Yes,
Ryan Nagel's
Carrie.
truck and Miss Reed's SUV in front of the house at the same time, correct?
I saw his lights in my peripheral vision on the
Right.
left.
But the lights are attached to the front.
Abigail, get on out of
But it
here.
wasn't out.
You are
front.
not a
Miss Reed's
bully.
vehicle was up front.
Right. when I say in front of 34 Fairview, we're going to talk about the spacing in just a second. I just meant out in front of the house.
Yes, over to the side, correct,
Okay.
yeah.
And you're indicating that, and I want to be clear about this, as you're looking out that storm door window, going from right to left, it was Miss Reed's vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Then Higgins's Jeep, is that right?
His Jeep was in front of the mailbox.
Then behind that, was there a space? And then Mr. Nagel's truck, or was the truck right behind the Jeep?
That's what I can't tell you. I just remember seeing lights. I didn't look over and pay much attention to it. I was just quickly looking at the Miss Reed's car, and then I went back and sat down.
Do you recall testifying at a prior hearing that it was, your perception was Miss Reed's car, her SUV, the Jeep, a space, and then Mr. Nagel's truck from right to left?
I remember Mr. Nagel's truck over to the left in my peripheral vision. I can't give you an exact location.
But there's no question in your mind as you sit here that Brian Higgins' Jeep was between Brian Nagel's truck and Miss Reed's SUV. You remember that very clearly, correct?
I know that this Miss Reed's vehicle was here, and there were lights in my peripheral vision over here. I wasn't, I just was looking quickly.
So let me ask the question.
Thank you for the follow, Diana.
Assuming the lights are attached to something, Brian Nagel's truck, we already established. What you're looking at, if you look out the storm door window, is Miss Reed's truck, or SUV rather. So just behind that is the left. As you look at it, Mr. Higgins' Jeep, correct? And behind that
Thank you, Erica.
is Mr. Nagel's truck.
Thank you, Lindy.
Remember the Jeep being between the truck and the SUV.
I remember looking out the window. It was dark. I remember seeing lights over to the left. That is what I remember.
Where was the Jeep as it relates to the lights?
I'm assuming the Jeep was still parked at the mailbox.
You saw it there. It was a $5,000 Jeep, right?
It was dark. I wasn't studying outside. It was a quick thing I did. I looked, I saw it, I went back to the table.
Mr. Jackson, move to a microphone.
Saw it. Let's just slow down and saw it.
Okay.
You saw Brian Higgins' truck. Then you saw Higgins' Jeep. Then you saw Miss Reed's SUV. Correct?
I saw Miss Reed's SUV parked straight out front, and in my peripheral vision, I saw lights that, yes, must have been attached to a truck, but I didn't study the lineup of cars. I'm sorry.
All right, so
May I have one more question?
one more question.
Where was the Jeep? Was it in front of the SUV? Behind Mr. Nagel's truck? Or was it between the two of them? Simple question.
You're asking what I saw when I looked outside. I didn't. And I'm telling you exactly what I saw. It was dark. It was Karen's car there, and in my peripheral vision, I saw lights, and then I went back to the table.
Okay, that's the last question. We're gonna break for lunch. All right, jurors, we'll take our lunch and recess.
Don't worry, we don't have to wait for them to get back from lunch. That's the whole reason we start late, so we could skip through all that. Does anybody think, anyone at all, think that Jen McCabe is still a credible witness? Joanne, yes, okay. I was very suspicious when I knew they got together to make up that timeline. And now I'm 100 times more suspicious. I'm having a hard time realizing that we're actually watching a real trial and this isn't a movie. Trials don't normally go like this. She loved him as a longtime friend. If he was P. Diddy's lawyer, hell no. We don't want him to be P. Diddy's lawyer. He needs to go to stay in jail. He might actually find some way off. At this point, we don't need him as Diddy's. No. Okay, you meant to watch it. It would be, if they did that, we would show it live here too. We'll be doing Kohlbergers. We're going to be doing Stephen Stearns. We're doing all the big ones coming up. Thank you, Ashley. I cannot believe. I just, this is like a movie. It's not like a trial. I guess I didn't understand. So they got rid of the dog. What did it tell us? The dog can't talk? Well, when they got rid of the dog, I don't honestly know. I find it suspicious they got rid of the dog when John had injuries on his arms that looked like they could have been scratches.
Right, sorry about the delay.
I hope we will,
Told
Mindy.
that we blew a fuse, and that's why we couldn't get started on time. So, these old courthouses. So, all right, we appreciate your patience. Go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McCabe, when you first saw Ms. Reed's SUV pull up, very shortly thereafter, you sent a text to John O'Keefe, correct?
That is true, Lucid.
I walked to the door, saw the car, and that's when I sent him the text, yes.
Right, so you walked up to the door, saw the SUV outside, and then texted him something at that
And
basically
sold it.
while you're standing at the door.
I believe so,
What
yes.
did you text him?
Here?
Okay. That was, do you remember the time?
I don't know.
Would it refresh your recollection if you were to look at a series of text messages contained in a Celebrate report? I think you've seen this before.
Sure.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Undermarket?
May I ask one foundational question?
Really?
Ms. McCabe, I'm going to ask you about a series of text messages. It's not a memory contest in terms of the timing. I'm going to ask you about probably 5 or so. All of those purport to be contained in here. Do you remember the time of those 5 texts?
I don't off the top of my head.
Do you think it would refresh your recollection to look at all those in one fell swoop as you look at this document? So I don't have to go back and forth?
Are these in evidence?
This is not in evidence to my knowledge. Not yet.
Will it help you to remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why
Why
were you
don't
looking
bring
to
it
the
us?
prosecutor? No. She was looking to the prosecutor,
Thank you.
in my opinion. We call that secondhand embarrassment.
Ms. McCabe, if you wouldn't mind, take a look at the tabs, not that whole document. Two days. Take a look at the tabs and go in reverse chronological order and see if that refreshes your recollection about the time and content of text messages that you sent to Mr. O'Keefe that early morning of January 29th.
Okay. Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
She should be nervous.
I'm not going to have to remember the exact times of all 5, am I?
I'll help.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. McCabe, did you see a text on here that was consistent with your memory that you texted here?
Yes.
Aaron?
And was that at 12:14, I'm sorry, at 12:27
Can you get Abby out of here?
a.m.?
I don't know if
Abby,
exactly,
Go
I'm
out.
assuming if it's on
Go.
that paper.
go. I did not raise a bully. Go
I
on.
have just one here on that.
Stop being bullied. Where's he at?
He's at the desk right here. Nala came in and hissed, and Abby came in and hissed.
Why don't I see counsel at sidebar for just a minute?
Sidebar. Sorry, guys. My youngest cat just had surgery. So when he came home, they've been hissing at him. And we don't allow bullying in this household. He seems like he's feeling a little bit better.
No. You're misbehaving.
I agree. You know what? Probably, I didn't even think of that. Babe, they probably weren't hissing at Binks. They were probably hissing at the witness.
Ah.
Bless you.
Thank you.
It's because they don't recognize the scent because the scent changed from being there. Well, Binks was sleeping. He was sleeping right behind me. They came in and woke him up hissing at him. But to be fair, Abby hisses at everybody. She's just a grouch.
Ms. McCabe, we're going to make it a little easier for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
May I?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would offer the following stipulation at 12/14/27 on January 29th, 2022. Text message from Jen McCabe to, text message from John O'Keefe's phone to Jen McCabe's phone, where to? At 12:20, all these are on January 29th, 2022, at 12:27:33, from Jennifer McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone, here, exclamation point, question mark. Same date, 12:31:47, from Jen McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone, pull behind me. Same date, 12:40:31, from Jen McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone, hello. 12:42:09, text message from Jennifer McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone, where are the letter U?
Okay, thank you.
Finally, 12:45:53, from Jen McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone, hello. I would offer the stipulation that those are correct times and dates and contents of the text messages between John O'Keefe's phone and Jen McCabe's phone on January 29, 2022.
All right, and that's what you're agreeing to, Mr. Brennan?
Yes, Your Honor, is contained in the cell Brennan report.
Okay. All right, folks, so I told you yesterday about a stipulation when I talked about something in the front. This is similar. So what you just heard, both lawyers agree that that's information contained in this Celebrate report.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I continue?
Yes.
At some point, you indicated that, and by the way, Ms. McCabe, at 12:27, it's now been stipulated
question.
you texted a single word, here, exclamation point, question mark, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You indicate that you saw the SUV move up after it was in front of the 34 Fairview residence. It moved up some number of feet, correct?
The next time I looked, it was at a different location.
Right. Now, you did not see the white Jeep move from the place that you originally saw it in front of the mailbox, correct?
I never looked out at the white Jeep.
But you never saw that move, ever.
No.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Higgins, that Jeep was in the same spot while Mr. Higgins was inside the residence until he left, correct?
That's what I would assume, yes.
Okay. And you never saw him go out and move his car and come back in or anything like that?
I never did, no.
After you, it's fair to say that once you noted that the SUV, Ms. Reed's SUV, was in front of the location, you started paying some attention to it.
I went to the door a few times to look out, yes.
As a matter of fact, in the course of about 19 minutes, you went to the door no fewer than 5 times, correct?
I'm not sure if it was 5.
You've indicated previously that for every time you went to the door and saw the SUV, you texted something, which are the texts contained in the document that was just stipulated to. Is that right?
I did text 5 times, you are correct.
Okay. So
No.
it's fair to say if you texted 5 times, then you went to the door 5 times, if those were associated with one another. You walked up, looked at the door, see the SUV, and text something. Here, pull behind me, where are you? Those texts, right?
I remember going to the front door, seeing the car, and texting here. When I went to the door the second time, the car had moved up towards the flagpole, and
No,
I
actually.
texted, pull behind me, because I thought, did they not know where to park? Did they think they were at the wrong house?
So my
Here, babe.
question is this. Every time you went to the door, you texted something.
It's okay.
I'm not sure that I did, yes.
Do you remember
I'm not sure that I did,
Do
sorry.
you remember a year ago testifying that
Jim
every
McCabe.
single time you texted, you indicated that you looked out at the SUV and saw something that prompted you to text something?
Am I aware that I said that?
Correct, that you
Could you-
testified to that.
Could you show that to me, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Now you're on. Yes. Take a look at the highlighted portion and just read that to yourself. Let me know when you're finished.
No. No, but it's funny you say that because don't they hold a striking resemblance?
May I?
Yes.
How you feeling, babe?
Okay. Like, I
Mr.
started
McCabe, does that
going
refresh your
in between.
recollection about the issue we were just talking about?
I see what's on,
Started
what's
just
written
going
down,
in
yes.
Okay, did you testify in answer to the following question?
Can I have a tissue, please?
And as a matter of fact, you looked
Just
every
one.
single time that you texted, you indicated that you looked out at the SUV and saw something that prompted you to text something, correct? Answer, correct.
I answered correct to that,
Okay.
yes.
So if you looked out, I'm sorry, if you texted 5 times, that's all I'm getting to, you went to the door about 5 times.
I'm not sure. I remember definitely going twice. And again, if I misstated or I said I went 5 times, 4 times, I apologize.
Well, do you think this testimony is an error?
No, I don't. I'm thinking with my memory, it was 3 years ago, and I'm thinking that maybe I wasn't clear on that detail of how many times that I went to the door. What I can tell you I'm clear on is that I did go twice, and I saw it. I saw it straight ahead. I saw it at the flagpole, and a third time further up. I cannot say with certainty, with my memory today, that I was up at that door every single time. I'm sorry.
And then, and by the way, when you testified, as you just saw, that was a year ago, correct?
Yes.
A year earlier and a year closer to the event, correct?
Yes, it was.
Your memory would have been a little bit fresher then than it is now, a year later.
I don't think I can compare my memory then to now.
You can't compare your memory. Do you think your memory gets better with time or fades a little with time?
Well, some things, unfortunately, I think about every single day. With this case, the trauma of
Sure.
it and what I experienced and went through. And there are some things that I am certain I will never forget. And I know for sure where the car was, and I know for sure I sent those 2 texts. But I apologize if I misstated. I went out more than I did. I'm just trying to give you what I remember today.
Let's talk about those texts and the and you looking out the door. You
Guys, I'm gonna mute you for 1 second so I could blow my nose. Just really quickly. Okay, sorry.
did approach the door and you saw that the vehicle was there the initial time, correct? That's 1.
When I texted here, yes,
And you texted here, exclamation point, question mark. Is that right?
correct.
And you indicated that when you first saw the vehicle, it was straight out ahead of you in front of the front door, and it was stationary. Is that right?
Yes.
Then you said you went back to the door and you saw that it had moved up, quote, a little bit. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Toward the flagpole. Is that right?
Is that the flagpole? Yes.
And when you saw that it had moved up toward the flagpole, then you texted again at 12:40, which has been stipulated to hello. Is that right?
When I saw it move up to the flagpole, I believe I texted pull behind me.
When you went the second time, and by the way, it's my mistake. I got I jumped over one. It was 12:31:47, which we stipulated to pull behind me. That's when the SUV was up closer to the flagpole, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Then you went yet again at 12:40 and saw the SUV yet again and texted hello.
To see if the vehicle's changed.
I'm not sure if that was when I texted hello.
But you did see that the SUV had moved again.
Yes.
Now where was it?
At first, it was straight ahead. Then it was at the flagpole, and then it was further up.
Then at 12:42, 2 minutes later, you texted, where are you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. At that point, it was still up by the flagpole?
No, I'm not saying that it was still outside.
Where was it?
I'm not sure where the vehicle was.
At 12:45, you texted yet again, hello. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
You indicated that was, you texted hello the last time you saw the vehicle. Is that right?
I'm not saying that today, no.
Well, did you say it previously?
In my testimony, did I say that the last time I texted? Did you have that written that I could see?
You just read it.
Well, that was your question that you had read to me. I never came out and said that.
Ms. McCabe, I asked you if you testified to that a year ago. That's my question. Did you testify to that a year ago that when you went, every single time you went to the door, you texted something because seeing the vehicle prompted you to text something to John?
I do it too, Tammy, sometimes.
That's a summary of maybe the,
Did you testify to that a year ago?
to what? That when I went to the door? Yeah, different times when I went to the door, I did text, yes.
And then you testified as well that you went to the door a final time and saw that the SUV was gone. It had left, correct?
Yes, at one point I did.
And that was just a couple of minutes after your last text at 12:45. Is that right?
I'm not sure of the time.
Matter of fact, you testified previously that it was around 12:50 that you last went to the door and noted that the car was completely gone. Is that right?
I'm not sure of that.
Why are you looking to
You're not sure of that?
No, if
the
you could show me, I'd
prosecutor?
appreciate it.
Well, she clearly has memory issues.
At some point, did you note that the vehicle was gone? Let's get to that.
Yes,
Around what time was that?
I do not know.
12:45, a little before, a little after?
I'm not sure. I can't give a time.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at how you testified to that particular time last year?
Sure.
May I?
Yes.
Highlighted portion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, does that refresh your recollection as to what time last year you indicated that you went to the door and saw that the SUV was gone?
It says on the paper that I was asked if after 12:45 it was gone, and I answered correct.
Okay,
I never gave a time.
all right. And that coincides with the last hello that you texted to John's phone, correct?
Don't worry, every other day of the trial's on my YouTube, so you can still pull it up and view it.
Again, I don't have that paper in front of me. Is that the
Well,
time?
that's the stipulation. That's what you don't need to worry about
Okay.
that. That's been stipulated to your last hello text was at 12:45.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
so that coincides, that testimony from last year coincides with your last text message
Thank you,
saying
Karen.
hello. You noted that the SUV at that point had gone. It was
Thank you for the
had
follow.
left, correct?
Correct.
So if I hear your testimony correctly, You saw the SUV in position 1.
Yes.
There was a text or something, or 2 maybe. Then you saw it in position 2. You went back to the door and noted that SUV had
Thank
moved
you for the
and was now
follow.
closer to the flagpole, correct?
We've just asked 2 questions.
It had moved closer to the
The
flagpole.
first question is you said I saw it and I sent a text or 2. I know I just said 1 here.
Okay. Then you saw it a second time,
Correct.
and now it's closer to the flagpole.
Yes, correct.
And there's texting going on. I'm not getting down to the minute of the text, but there's texting going on. You're sending texts.
I'm sending, yes.
Okay. Then you went back to the door a third time and saw that it moved beyond the flagpole, correct?
Correct.
Then, according to your testimony last year, you went back to the door at least a 4th time to see that it was gone, correct?
I believe.
In front of the house, or toward the flagpole, or beyond the flagpole, 4 times, correct?
From last year's testimony, but what I remember today
No,
with
Ms. McCabe, that's not
certainty
my
is
question.
twice.
You need to let her answer the question.
For some reason, the sound wasn't coming when her mouth was opening, so I'm going to give it a second to try to fix itself. She is all over the damn place. You are right on that one.
Answer your question, please.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Then, according to your testimony last year, you went back to the door at least a 4th time to see that it was gone, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so at bare minimum, based on your testimony today, you were at the door, looking out the window at that portion of either the yard directly in front of you, and in front of the house, or toward the flagpole, or beyond the flagpole, 4 times, correct?
From last year's testimony,
It's doing
but what
it
I
again.
remember today
No,
with
Ms. McCabe, that's not
certainty
my
is
question.
twice.
You need to let her answer the question. Answer your question, please.
Go ahead.
What I remember certainty is looking at it out front at the flagpole and beyond. I don't remember how many times I went up to the door.
Thank you.
I was back and forth.
Right. But according to you, you saw the car in 3 different positions, correct?
Correct.
So that's at least 3 times to the door, correct?
Correct.
And you saw the car gone, right?
Correct.
3
3 plus
again.
1 is 4, correct?
Correct.
So now you're telling us that you went to the door a minimum of 4 times and looked across that yard at the SUV, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
She's accused of unaliving her boyfriend, who was a police officer at the time. IMO means in my opinion.
You had a clear view of that SUV as you looked out that storm door every time you went to the door, didn't you?
It was dark and snowing, but I could see a vehicle out there, yes.
As a matter of fact, you've indicated that it was a clear view. There was nothing obstructing your vision, correct?
No, there was nothing but the weather conditions.
And you indicated that, and by the way, the blizzard had basically just started. There was a dusting on the ground.
It was snowing, it was accumulating.
Right, but it was early in
Correct.
the storm.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Right. And when asked about whether or not you had a view, well, let me ask it a different way. In terms of your view of the SUV and the distance from the storm door to the SUV to that curb line, there was nothing obstructing your view. You had a clear view of that, a good view of the SUV, correct?
I haven't heard for sure one way or the other, no.
Correct?
When I looked out the window, I could see the SUV in front of me, yes.
At no time during any of this interaction with the door, meaning going back and forth through the storm door, texting, looking outside, seeing the SUV in position 1, seeing the SUV in position 2, seeing the SUV in position 3, at no time did you hear any noise that was unusual, did you?
No, I didn't.
No, she is not the defendant, though they do look alarmingly similar. The defendant is Karen Reed. This is Jen McCabe.
You didn't hear any screaming?
No,
You didn't hear any yelling?
no,
No loud voices?
no,
No foul language?
no,
You didn't hear a door slam?
no,
You didn't hear a verbal argument or a fight of any kind?
no,
You didn't hear a revving engine.
No,
You didn't hear the squealing of tires or the scraping of tires on the pavement.
no,
You didn't
They
hear
do.
a collision take place
no,
or a crash
no,
or screams for help,
no,
moaning, groaning as if someone was in distress.
no.
As you looked at the SUV the first time, you've already indicated that you had a clear view straight out the door, right? It's right in front of the front door as a crow flies, right? It's not at an angle.
Right there. Correct.
Okay. You also previously indicated that you saw tire tracks in the roadway.
Yes.
In that very, very light dusting of snow, the accumulation that you talked about, you saw tire tracks of some sort.
Yes.
So that's down on the ground, beyond the yard, somewhere in the roadway.
In the street. Correct.
You had a good view of those tire tracks as well, correct?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you were able to describe those as sort of almost a wave, I think you once said.
Yeah, across the street. I could see it because of the street light that was across the street.
Okay, and that presented at least enough illumination based on your view. You could see the tire tracks in the snow.
Yes. Over to the left. Yes.
And you've detailed not just the shape of those tire tracks as being sort of like a wave, but where those tire tracks were, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Where did you see them?
I believe over to the left. If I'm looking out the street. Oh, sorry. Straight.
So if you're looking outside at the SUV, I'm just going to turn my back to the jurors for a second.
Mhm.
Perspective. You're looking outside the door. When you say straight out, the SUV is straight outside. When you say to the left, you mean to the left of the SUV on the ground. That's where you saw the tire tracks.
Yes.
Like somebody might parallel park or something.
Kind of a wave. Yeah. I can't really explain what it was. I just saw it.
You weren't paying special attention. You weren't looking for tire tracks, were you?
No. When I glanced out, I saw it.
You weren't looking for anything in the roadway at that point. You just glanced out. There was something in your peripheral vision, and you made note of it.
Yes.
And the only thing between you and the SUV as you looked out was the lawn.
Correct.
There's no ditches or hills in that lawn. It's a flat lawn, correct?
I wasn't looking at the ground. I was just kind of looking like I am at you
That's
right
not my
now,
question.
straight.
You know that lawn. You've been in that house 100 times, 500 times. There's no ditches or berms or hills or mountains on that lawn. It's just a flat lawn, right?
I guess you could categorize it as flat, yeah.
Can we take a look?
I don't even know what to say at this point. I'm surprised that this case hasn't been thrown out. That's right, Kathy. In my opinion.
Can you take a look at that
Sure.
photograph for a quick second so you recognize it?
I do, yes.
What do you recognize that as being?
34 Fairview.
That's the same photograph with just a little modification on it that you saw a few minutes ago.
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that that be marked as identification.
Thank you, Gail.
Wish to publish.
Not for identification, no.
Your Honor, if I may, if it's marked for identification, I wouldn't object to showing it
Okay.
Thank you.
as a chalk at this point.
May I publish?
Yes.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
There you go. Just want to move it. There you go. Thank you. What's depicted in that photograph?
34 Fairview?
Do you see the front door that you went in?
I do, yes.
Can you point it out for the jurors, please?
Sure. Right there.
Okay.
The white
one with
door.
the brick steps leading up to it.
Yes.
Now, with this perspective, can you point out the side door?
Sure.
That looks like a screen door just to the right of the hedges.
Yes.
With that perspective, can you point out the garage door?
Or that one,
I
sorry.
don't know, Ellie.
That's just to the right of the window inside that recess of the home?
Yes,
Okay. And does that fairly and accurately depict the lawn as it was on January 28th, 29th, other than the fact that it's different weather? The
right,
shape of the lawn?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's alleged that she did, but I don't believe she did.
So what was that?
We just got a flash start here. So if anybody has the ability to send a heart, they're one coin. We need how many of them? We need 38 more in 12 minutes.
Marked as Madam Court Reporter. Thank you.
Your Honor, I would ask to move that in evidence. If we need to take a minute on that, I'm happy to, but that is my request.
Thank you.
Is there an issue?
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Erica.
Okay.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Lori. Thank you,
Yes.
Kel. That's fine, Kathy. You're
The
good.
first time you looked out over that lawn
Thank you, Susan.
to the SUV,
Thank you, Mrs.
you
Bubbles.
did not see John O'Keefe, did you?
Christy.
No, I did not.
He was not outside that SUV.
No,
He was not standing or sitting.
not that I saw.
He certainly wasn't on the ground, was he?
Not that I saw.
The second time you looked out and saw the SUV, now the SUV is more toward the flagpole, correct?
Yes,
And you had a clear field of view between you standing at that door and the SUV.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Nana.
I can see the SUV, correct.
You could see everything in front of the SUV as well. couldn't you?
I just would go to the door and look at the SUV. I wasn't taking in all the surroundings of.
But just like you weren't taking in the surroundings, specifically looking at the tire tracks, you saw the SUV standing or sitting right in front of you, you saw the through your peripheral vision, the tire tracks.
Yes, and that's lighted where around the SUV it was very dark.
I haven't asked you about lighting yet. We'll get to that.
I'm
You
sorry.
know the tire tracks, even though you weren't looking for tire tracks, right?
Yes, I did.
Something stood out to you in your peripheral vision. Just look out. There they are.
Yes, absolutely.
That second time you looked directly at the SUV with no obstruction between you and the SUV, you did not see John O'Keefe standing outside the SUV.
No,
Thank you,
He wasn't
guys.
sitting
We're
down.
almost there.
no,
He wasn't lying down.
no,
You certainly did not see his body in the snow toward that flagpole.
no.
And you would have been looking directly toward that flagpole, correct?
I was
Directly.
I was looking at the vehicle.
Directly toward the flagpole, Miss McCabe.
I was looking in the direction of the flagpole
Right.
at the vehicle. Yes.
I
And
hope
you
we
saw
can.
no body in the snow, did you?
I didn't look for a body in the snow.
I didn't ask you if you looked for one. You weren't looking for tire tracks either, were you? But you saw those.
I did see those, yes.
And you did not see a body in the snow.
No, I did not.
John O'Keefe, 6'2", 216 pounds, brawny guy, big boy, right?
Thank
I
you,
don't
Lindy.
think I'd refer to him as a big
Thank you,
boy,
Heather.
but he was tall, yes.
All right. You certainly didn't see him prostrate in the snow the way you found him the next morning,
know, baby.
correct? Later that morning,
I didn't see anything on the ground, no.
correct.
It's only one each.
The third time
Thank you, Zoe.
you looked out toward that SUV, it's still in the direction of the flagpole, but a little further up, a little deeper
She
to the
has
right,
done.
correct?
Yes.
Again, looking directly in the direction, at least, of the flagpole and that area of the yard, you were looking beyond that to the SUV, correct?
Yes.
You did not see John O'Keefe standing outside the vehicle.
Thank you so much.
I did not, no.
He was not sitting outside the vehicle,
No.
and he certainly wasn't lying on the ground, was he?
I didn't see him.
And the last
19
time you
more,
looked out,
guys.
Miss McCabe, this is now 12:45 or so. The last time you looked out, the SUV was gone. Is that right?
Yes.
But you were still looking in that direction because that's the last place you saw the SUV. Is that right?
I looked out the window like this. I wasn't searching anywhere, but just glanced out the window. And I didn't see it.
I'm just asking you a direction. Not whether or not you your searching, I know you didn't send out a search party, that's not my question.
Thank you,
My question is,
Jamie.
looking toward the area where you last saw the SUV.
18 more.
All right,
Yes,
that would be directly across the lawn, directly past the flagpole, and directly into the street where you last saw the SUV, correct?
I glanced out. Yes, correct.
And the same way you glanced out at the SUV, to use your words, glanced out and saw the tire tracks, right?
Correct. Yes.
But you did not see John O'Keefe
Thank
standing
you.
on the lawn.
No.
You did not see him sitting on the lawn,
No.
and you certainly did not see his body lying on the lawn, did you?
No.
Thank you, Susan.
No, I did not.
Ultimately, you left the location.
We
that
have
night,
7
Gavin,
minutes,
at 34
guys.
Fairview. Is that right? You didn't spend the night there?
No, I went home.
If there's anybody in here that has one coin and hasn't sent a heart me, if you could send one, it would be greatly appreciated. We only have how many minutes left? 7 minutes left to hit our heart me goal, and it's only one per person. So if you guys could help, I would really appreciate it.
About what time was it?
Thank you,
left the location?
guys. Thank you.
Approximately, it was after 1:30. Approximately 1:30, 1:45.
So this is maybe an hour later, later than what we just
15
discussed.
more.
Yes.
Who did you leave with?
I left with my husband, Matt, and Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson.
Who was driving?
Thank you, Susan.
Sorry, my husband, Matt, was
Thank you,
driving.
Harley.
And where was Sarah Levinson and Julie Nagel sitting in that SUV?
They were in the back seat.
By the way, what kind of SUV were you in that
Thank
night?
you, Glenn.
A Yukon.
Four-door,
Yeah,
extended
big.
seating?
Yes.
When the SUV pulled out of the drive, it was in the driveway?
Yes.
When the SUV backed out of the driveway, doing a three-point turn, backed out of the driveway, did it go toward Chapman or did it go toward Cedar Crest?
It went towards Chapman.
So as you backed out of the driveway, you would have been heading toward the flagpole side of the property rather than back toward the driveway side of the property, correct?
Correct.
You would have driven directly adjacent to the area where John O'Keefe's body was later discovered at 6:04, 6:03 a.m., correct?
Yes, correct.
You were seated in the passenger seat of the vehicle,
She
not the
did.
driver's seat.
Correct.
You were seated in the front of the vehicle, not the back seat.
Correct.
You would have been closest to the yard as y'all drove past, correct?
Correct.
That's a newer model Yukon. I'm assuming that the headlights automatically
Thank
turn
you,
on at night.
Jera5.
Yes.
So the headlights were illuminated.
Yes.
Did your husband Matt, did he turn on the brights, or did he leave the beams on low, or do you know?
I don't know.
But certainly the area in front of that SUV, that Yukon, was well lit.
5
The lights
minutes.
were on, yes.
You did not
12
see
more,
anything out of the
guys.
ordinary as you drove right by that location, did you?
I was looking in the back seat when we were driving.
Did you see anything out of the ordinary on that lawn as you drove by in that SUV?
No, because I wasn't looking at the line.
You
It's
certainly
just
did not
one
see
coin.
John O'Keefe dressed in dark clothing laying prostrate in the lawn.
No, I did not.
You said that you were turned around talking to the other young ladies in the SUV, Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson. Is that right?
Yes.
You indicated that you were engaged with them about a conversation having to do with bread and maybe peanut butter or something.
Yes.
You didn't, as you passed by that location.
We did get to
adjacent
50K. Thank you so much, guys.
You didn't hear Julie Nagel say anything out of the ordinary about having seen something.
No.
You didn't hear Sarah Levinson say anything out of the ordinary about having seen something.
We have 4 minutes.
According to you, you were turned around, directly engaged with both of these young ladies as you passed by that area where John's body was later discovered. Is that right?
When we pulled out, I turned around and I was talking to them about the bread and the peanut butter. I'm not sure exactly where we were driving, but it was when we pulled out, yes.
Thank you
You
so
certainly
much,
never heard
Pitbull
anybody
Mom.
say anything like, what was that, or anything close to that.
No, I didn't.
I'm not sure. We're behind. Thank you.
I'd like to turn your attention to your arrival back at 34 Fairview just after 6 a.m. the next morning.
Thank you so much.
You indicate that the visibility was relatively poor and that you could not see John O'Keefe on that lawn from your perspective, correct?
Thank you,
The
Sabri.
visibility was extremely poor, and no, I could not see him.
10 more in 2 minutes,
You were in the front
guys.
seat, passenger side.
Yes, I was.
It was Karen Reed who actually saw Mr. O'Keefe, jumped out of the
You
car,
want to take the baby?
began attending to him immediately, correct?
Karen got out of the car and ran to John O'Keefe.
Making noises.
And you stayed by the car, and Miss Roberts ran over to assist Miss Reed in giving first aid to initially
Can you
to
log on and send
Mr.
me a
O'Keefe. Is that right?
What?
No, that is not. Carrie got out and walked over, and then I got out and walked over.
Here, 1 second.
You indicated that
Thank you so much,
well,
Omen.
let me ask a different question.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Tabri.
Yesterday, you testified in pretty significant detail that
2
when you got out
minutes,
of the
9
car,
more.
you could not see anything even close to the flagpole, correct?
Visibility was very bad, yes.
Matter of fact, you used the word whiteout conditions. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
Whiteout conditions, you basically can't see your hand in front of your face.
I wouldn't say that extreme, but I used whiteout as there's just snow coming at you.
You were specifically asked by Mr. Brennan, how close did you have to get before
A
you could
minute and a
actually
half.
see anything of note where Miss Reed had gone?
You have,
Is that
thank
right?
you.
Yes.
You testified yesterday that you could see just merely shadowy figures of Miss Reed and Carrie Roberts, and it wasn't until you got very close over to them that you could see John in your words.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, you followed that up by
Thank you,
saying that
Heather.
that was the first moment, once you got basically on top of them, that was the first moment that you realized that it was
It's okay, guys.
John, that
It's
there was
okay.
a body on the ground, correct?
I said as I got close to them, I don't think on top of them.
Fair enough. It's my words, not yours. You did say, quote, very close to them, correct?
I'd have to see it, but
Or you just
It was
testified to
fine.
it yesterday. You remember saying, I'd get very close to them.
I know I said I had got very close to them or close to them, something like that,
Okay.
yes.
I don't have a transcript of yesterday's testimony, I'm sorry. Last year, you testified to something very different than that, though, didn't you?
No.
Isn't it true that last year you testified that you got out on the passenger side of the vehicle, which is, we'll agree, the furthest side from the lawn, as Ms. Roberts was driving from Chapman toward Crestview, Cedar Crest, correct?
Yes.
You testified that you were on the passenger side, and as you got out of the vehicle, you noted that Karen Reed was already at John. Is that right?
Thank you to those of you that sent the heart means. It means the world to me. Thank you so much.
As I got out and walked around the back of the vehicle, the shadowy figure of Karen had already gotten onto something.
You further testified that as you got out of the vehicle, you noted that she straddled John,
Thank
lifted
you
up
so
his
much,
shirt,
Omen.
lifted up her shirt, and went to lay on him. And Miss Roberts went over and said she was started removing snow from John's face.
Thank you, Glenn.
Where are you,
Sure.
Mr. Jeff?
May 17, 2024, RT 114, lines 14 to bottom, onto 115, line 4.
Thank you.
Is that how you testified last year?
I'm sorry, would you mind just repeating it?
Sure.
Thank you.
You testified in substance that you were on the passenger side of the vehicle.
Thank you so
and
much,
as
guys.
you got out,
Thank you,
quote,
Lucid.
as I got out, end quote, she, Miss Reed, was already at John.
It's okay.
You indicated that you saw her straddle him, lift up his shirt, lift up her shirt, and lay on top of him while Miss Roberts went over and removed snow from his face. That's how you testified last year, correct?
Okay.
Is that how you testified last year?
I'm not sure. I know.
Next question.
Would it refresh your recollection if you look at a copy of your testimony from last year?
I don't think looking at.
From last year.
I don't think looking at.
Same.
It would refresh my memory. I know I might have used different words, but the bottom line is I got out of the car, went behind the car, went over, and Karen had done that.
Ms. McCabe, I'm asking, do you think it would refresh your, you don't have a good recollection of how you testified last year on your own? Sitting on that witness stand. I'm asking, do you think it would refresh your recollection to see the transcript last year?
I don't need to see my transcript. I know what I know and I know what I remember. So
That's not my question. I'm not asking what you remember now. I'm asking how you testified a year ago.
whether I said it was
Mm-hmm.
as we're fighting over silly words,
Thank
whether
you,
I said it
Lindsay.
as I got out of the car, we were there.
Words matter. They matter a lot.
Okay, so remember, Mr. Jackson, no comments. Ms. McCabe, how you answer his questions?
Okay.
Do you remember exactly how it is that you testified last year?
I do not know.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think they shouldn't have taken that lunch break. They should have kept ahead like they were, because I too believe that she got some advice. I'm not saying from who. No, we didn't, but that's okay. I appreciate you guys for trying. Thank you. Thanks, Clam. Thank you. It's okay. Thank you, Parker.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, we're a few behind.
Ms. McCabe, does that refresh your recollection as to how you testified in substance last year?
I see what it says I said, but it's a little bit different than what you stated.
Okay, then let's walk through that. Did you indicate last year that as you got out of the vehicle, that's when you could see what Miss Reed was doing with John O'Keefe, down to the detail of pulling her shirt up and pulling his shirt up to try to go skin to skin?
Guys, I will put the live on my YouTube after, so all 7 days will be there.
I object.
Why don't I see it sidebar? Why don't you wait until you finish?
Sidebar.
There's-
Of course you would call a cyborg before she could answer that. Yeah, I have day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all on my YouTube. And if you guys followed me under the Michelle N account, that's only my backup. I don't always come live with it, so make sure you grab this side too. Me too. I've never heard of that. Never heard of that. It has me completely baffled. It really does. It was the question about whether or not she pressed skin to skin. He was doing very good. I agree with you, Catnip. That's actually a really good way to do it. Maybe we could put some notes in suggestion boxes that probably don't exist, that should exist.
All right, now you can go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. McCabe, is it true that you had the following colloquy last year on this subject? Answer: I was on the passenger side, so as I got out, she was already at John. Question. So she gets out and essentially makes a beeline over to where John was. Answer, correct. Question. And you're getting out of the passenger side, and by the time you come around the car, she's already there. Answer, yes. Question. And when she gets over there, what, if anything, could you see at that point? Answer, she straddles John and lifts up his shirt. And then she lifted up her shirt and went to lay on it. And Miss Roberts went over and she was removing the snow from his face. Is that how you testified last year?
Yes, that's how I answered the questions.
Okay. Clearly, you didn't indicate last year that it was whiteout conditions. You could see nothing of the kind, and you had to get quote unquote very close to him before you could see anything, correct? Objection.
Sustained. It's the first word that's problematic, Mr. Johnson.
Yesterday, you testified that it was whiteout conditions. You had to leave the car, walk all the way over and get quote unquote very close to John before you recognized that it was even a body. Is that right?
Yes.
But last year, you testified that you were still at the car when you noted the detail of Karen basically giving life-saving aid to John. You can see that clearly, all the way from the contract. Objection.
Is that what you said, Ms. McCabe?
No.
This is the case of Karen Reed. She is accused of unaliving her boyfriend, who was a police
Is
officer.
there a reason, Ms. McCabe, that you
Because when someone is believed to have hypothermia, they say strip down and go skin to skin. That's the fastest way to warm somebody up.
might wish to improve your testimony this year than last year, over last year? With
Scrap, I have no way to know that, but in my opinion, no, she didn't.
regard to the distance that you could see Ms. Reed engaged with Mr. O'Keefe?
No.
Are you trying to suggest, or improve your testimony to suggest, that you had no idea that there was a body there and nobody reasonably could have even seen the body there as you drove by? Objection.
Is that what you're trying to say, Ms. Reed?
Ms. McCabe.
McCabe.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Give it a shot.
I'm sorry.
Are you trying to improve your testimony this year over last year to suggest that reasonably nobody could have seen where John was?
I'm not trying to improve my testimony, no.
Use the microphone, Mr. Jackson, please.
You claimed on direct examination
Thank
today,
you.
as a matter of fact, that Ms. Reed looked at you at the scene and said the phrase, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." She said it 3 times, very distinctly, according to your testimony, correct?
She did, yes.
That was so impactful that it had the effect of putting you in some sort of shock and horror. Is that right?
I was in shock the whole morning, but that statement definitely was a lot.
And that's an incredibly memorable statement for you to have heard and now recount to us in this trial, correct?
Correct.
Something that you wouldn't easily forget or overlook. Is that right?
Something I wouldn't.
Something you would not easily
Correct.
forget or overlook. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
Matter of fact, some might say it's the centerpiece of your testimony. Objection.
Sustained.
Don't look at the prosecutor. He's not going to save you.
Ms. McCabe, you testified at a grand jury in April of 2022, did you not?
I did, yes.
Before you testified, you took an oath, very much like the oath that you took before you testified in this case, correct?
Correct.
I
Swear to
believe
tell the
so.
truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, correct?
Correct.
And that included the whole truth at the state grand jury, correct?
Correct.
That was only weeks, several weeks, but weeks after this incident, right? April 26th versus January 29th, 2022. Is that right?
Correct.
Things
Yes.
were much fresher in your
Hey,
mind then
Jesse.
than they are now.
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Especially something as momentous as an admission from my client that she hit him. Would you agree?
Would I agree that she said that?
Would you agree that that would be fresh in your mind? Something as momentous as that. You wouldn't forget that.
I'll never forget it.
You wouldn't overlook that.
I will never forget it.
You would not overlook that either, would you, Miss McCabe?
I answer the questions I'm asked.
Can you answer the question that I just asked? You're not answering my question. Would you overlook that?
No.
And the reason you wouldn't overlook it is because it was so impactful on you, having heard that. Not once, not twice, 3 times. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Is that right?
Yes.
Please say you're going somewhere with this. Somewhere big, explosive. That's true. Yeah, Pinocchio, 100%. We need a Pinocchio sticker too. Somebody remind me.
May I approach?
Yes.
What is it with everything being 3 times in this case? Whenever there has to be a numeric value, it's always 3.
Thank you.
Take a look at that document. Tell me if you can recognize it.
That's what she's looking at now, I believe, Kat.
Yes, I see it.
Is that a transcript of your entire testimony at the grand jury in April of 2022?
I believe so, yes.
You've reviewed it in the past?
I have read it about a year ago, yes.
You read it in anticipation of your testimony a year ago, correct?
Yes, I reviewed it.
Have you reviewed it in
Double that
preparation
number.
for your testimony today?
No, I haven't.
Yesterday. Ms. McCabe, turn to the page or pages in that transcript where you recount to the grand jurors that my client said, I hit him,
I don't
I
know.
hit him, I hit him.
This is over 227 pages.
How long did you say it was, Ms. McCabe?
200.
He said, is it true that she said that you said in the grand jury testimony, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him 3 times? And she's like, I don't know, I'd have to read that. He says, and she said, and it's 200 some odd pages. And he said, take your time. I love this man. I absolutely, he is my favorite. I didn't think I'd ever have a favorite defense lawyer, but I do now.
127?
I'm not going to let her read 227 pages.
You reviewed it before, actually.
I reviewed it a year ago, yes.
Hurry, have someone speed read, find the page.
I skimmed through it.
One of the most important
She's
points
pissed.
in your testimony yesterday and today is recounting these jurors the phrase, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Is that right?
Objection.
To the form of that, I'm sustaining it.
Was it important to you to tell these jurors that you heard my client say, I hit him 3
You're
times?
I answered the questions and I'm telling the jurors what I know.
Was it important to you before testifying today that you recount to these jurors the phrase, I hit him, coming out of my client's mouth?
Your client said she hit him, yes.
That's not my question. Listen to my
Thank
question.
you, Kate.
I'm sorry.
Was it important to you before you testified to tell these jurors under oath that my client said, I hit him 3 times?
3.
As a witness, it's important to tell the truth and to answer the question you were asked.
And in point of fact, in your entire grand jury testimony, you never said, my client said the words, I hit him, did you?
Again, it's 227 pages.
Ms. McCabe, you were there. They're your words. I'm not asking you to rehearse something. You were there. Did you tell the grand jurors that my client said I hit him?
I have testified a number of times, but I was there the morning of January 29th when your client said I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Did you tell that to the grand jurors?
I'm not sure.
It's because you didn't, did you?
Again, I'm not sure.
Ms. McCabe, you were asked in your grand jury testimony no fewer than a dozen times, 12 times, 12 separate times, you were asked to repeat words that my client said both before, going to, and at the scene at 34 Fairview that morning. Correct?
Objection.
Do you know the answer to that?
No.
We're a little bit behind, Ellie.
You were asked multiple times what my client's words were that you heard her say go to and at the scene. Correct?
I was correct.
And you recounted those words truthfully and honestly at that time, correct?
Correct.
Because you were under the same oath that you're under today.
Correct.
And things were much fresher in your mind then than they are now 3.5 years later. Would you agree with that?
I hit him, I hit him, I hit him is just as fresh today as it was 3 years ago.
Turn to page 190, if you wouldn't mind.
You have a page number, sir?
Report and counsel lines 10 and 11.
Lines 10 and 11, guys. No idea why I'm telling you that, but in case you have these papers, that's where it's at.
Which lines? I'm sorry.
10 and 11.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I told you guys I felt something big was coming, didn't I?
You recounted what Miss Reed said to you over the phone to the grand jurors, correct?
Correct.
And what she said at 4:53 a.m. was, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? She didn't say it. She asked it, correct?
She didn't say that at 4:53.
Did you testify that what Miss Reed said to you that morning over the phone was, could I have hit him? Did I hit him?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Thank you for the follows, guys. It's like we're watching a movie, not an actual trial. Yeah, now she does. Thank you for the follow. Yes. One of the things Jen McCabe has been saying is that Karen Reed said 3 times, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. She's been caught saying things inappropriate, or not. She's been caught perjuring herself. That was the grand jury testimony. And not once did she say that Karen Reed ever said, I hit him. She said, did I hit him? Not, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. This is huge. To the feds in court, yep.
Just wanted to verify a page number, Your Honor. Coach.
Yes. Why don't you tell Mr. Brennan the page number?
I will, with each one.
They could go for a mistrial.
They probably will. This will be the
Turn to
second
page
mistrial.
192.
Thank you. Did I and could I? Thank you. I couldn't remember the second one, so I was like, I can't remember, so I'm not going to say it.
Line 4. What did you tell the grand jurors my client said in that answer?
Why are you looking to the prosecution and now the judge?
What are we talking about?
I'll ask it a different way. Did you answer a question on page 192, line 4, concerning my client's statement?
Did I
Concerning my client's statement.
answer a question?
You were
Yes,
answering
Megan.
a question, correct?
Oh, yes, yes.
All right.
I'm sorry.
And the answer that you gave to the grand jurors was, she said, could I have hit him? Correct?
Yes, that's part of the answer I gave.
Turn to page 193.
I'd object.
You object to her turning to page 193?
I don't want to have to see it, Zelda. We need context in order for this to be admissible, Mr. Jackson. I have no idea what that said.
Your Honor, everyone, I can make an offer of proof at sidebar, if you wish.
Okay, why don't you
Sure.
and bring that.
He needs to make an offer of proof because Mr. Prosecutor doesn't want them to turn to that page number. I wouldn't either. But then again, I would never put myself in a position to present a case like this and all these lies. Every major witness, almost every major witness, has been caught perjuring themselves in this trial. Yes, I agree with you, Molly. I agree that I see this as she has been framed. Framed, set up, whatever word you want to use. I cannot believe that it's happening right now in front of us and nobody else has walked through that door that could shut this down. This should be dropped with prejudice, meaning not to charge her again. Not to try her again for the same crime.
So,
I have
Mr.
notes.
Jackson?
Okay.
Thank you.
I think my notes was.
You're not going to ask that question on that page, sir? Why did you give up, Mr. Jackson? No.
On page 192, line 4, for context, were you talking about a statement that was made in Karen's car on that morning before you got to the scene?
192.
192, line 4.
Macy, you do realize when I was talking, there was no volume to be heard. It was a sidebar.
Yes, that was a comment you made in the car.
And she said the phrase, you recounted that she said the phrase, could I have hit him, correct?
Yes, that was part of my answer.
Take a look at page 193, line 1 through 2.
Yeah, they muted. I have no choice.
This was also in the context of a conversation that was in Karen's car, correct?
Yes.
And the phrase that you attributed to my client was, could I have hit him? The question, correct?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Correcting myself, Mr. Jackson is still asking the questions.
Page 193, line 23.
They didn't seem to like her, honestly. That's just my personal
The context
observation.
of being in John's driveway at One Meadows,
Yes.
and you attributed the statement, and she's asking if she could have hit him, correct?
Yes, when she showed me her taillight.
Page 201, lines 23 and 24. This driving to Fairview.
No, this is a longtime family friend that loved John O'Keefe. And if you missed any of the previous days, they're all on my YouTube, Michelle's Criminal Musings.
She asked, what if I hit him? Could
don't
have
know.
hit him? Correct?
Can you tell me the lines?
I'm sorry, lines 23 and 24,
Welcome, glad to have you here.
page 201.
Okay, sorry.
I'm nervous for her. I have secondhand nervousness. I almost dropped an F-bomb. Screw secondhand embarrassment.
She stated, according to you, what if I hit him? Could I have hit him? Correct?
Yes, she did.
Page 202, top of the page, line 1 and 2. Again, in context, this is driving to Fairview before you arrived at Fairview. And she again asked, quote, according to you and your testimony in front of the grand jury, could I have hit him? Correct?
saw you asked what this is about. This is Massachusetts versus Karen Reed. She is on trial for allegedly murdering her boyfriend, who's a police officer, was a police officer.
Yes, I see that here as part of my answer.
Then turn to page 208, lines 24 and 25.
I have secondhand nerves for her. Thank you for the follow. I believe they're done for the day. We're running a bit behind.
I'm sorry, what, lines 24 and 25?
Lines 24 and 25, let me know when you've
I read them,
reviewed
thank you.
those. For context, this is at the scene, outside Fairview.
Yes,
And you told those grand jurors under oath, she asked, did I hit him? Could I have hit him?
Thank you for the
Correct.
follow.
yes,
On page 208, lines 24 and 208 and 209, going on to page 209, lines 1 through 3. You actually recounted
Mr. Jackson.
to the grand jurors a conversation that you said my client had with a female EMT standing right there, exactly as you testified to today. Female EMT. You see that?
I do, yes.
Thank you for the
And what
follows,
did you
guys.
say my client's statements were in front of that female EMT?
In this, I say that she said, could I have hit him? Is he dead?
It's actually, did I hit him?
Oh, sorry, I missed that part. I apologize. Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead?
And that was at the scene
Me too.
in front of the female EMT, exactly the scene that you're describing. You attributed the 3 statements to my client today, right?
There was many different times when we were talking to different EMTs, the female EMT, the men,
She should
police
be.
officers.
Yes.
Yeah, just vote, Your Honor.
Sure.
She's pissed that she's got to reference those pages. You didn't want to read through them, but they found the pages for you. So chill. Oh, no, wait. That's perjury that you're having to attest to. The third person, at least. I think there was one more. But there's 2 other people that have been caught perjuring in this trial. Her friend
Ms. McCabe, your
and
full
EMT.
statement at page 208, starting at lines 22 through 25, going on to page 209, down to line 4, was, quote, so there are different, police officers getting statements from us. And at one point I'm standing with Miss Reed and she's saying, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? And there was, I believe, an EMT, a female, standing right next to me, listening to her yelling, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? It was pretty much nonstop. That was your testimony in front of the grand jurors, correct?
Yes, it was.
And that was April 26th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Not one time, Ms. McCabe,
Not once.
did you utter the phrase, I hit him, as it relates to my client in front of that grand jury on April 26th, 2022. Did you? Not once.
I'd have to read through the 227 pages to see.
As you sit here today,
For the
do
love
you
of all that's
remember
holy.
ever saying to those grand jurors, she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, in front of a female EMT?
I've spoken to in a few grand juries. What I said specifically at different ones, I don't recall at this moment, but I do know that morning your client said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him 3 times, and there was a
That's
female
not what you're asking.
EMT there.
Nobody else says they heard her say that though. But you, and the other person that perjured themselves. Bless you, baby.
You spoke with Trooper Proctor just the same day, right? January 29th.
I
Yes.
believe she did not do it.
Trooper Proctor was taking notes
Yes.
about your conversation.
Yes, he was.
You reviewed those notes, as a matter of fact. So,
I didn't review his notes. I think I've seen a report at one point or another.
It was more than friends. It was her sister that owned that home with her husband, Brian Albert. That's who owned the home. It was her sister's home.
on that very day, January 29th, 2022, when you were asked to recount what happened at the scene, who was doing what and who said what. You never told Trooper Proctor that my client said I hit him either, did you?
Oh, I told him. Yes, I did.
He just leave that out of his report?
I'm not responsible for his report.
No, you're not. But you have read his report.
So again, no comments, Mr. Jackson.
He was asking a question.
I have seen it before, yes.
Guys, no spoilers, please. We're doing virtual jury.
Thank you.
That report for another particular sworn, you still recognize it?
Yes, I do.
Can you review that report, scan it, and let me know when you're done?
Okay, is there something specific I should be looking for?
I don't think you're gonna find it, Ms. McCabe. For I hit him.
So again, jurors disregard the comments. So it's question answer format only.
My question is, do you see the phrase, I hit him, as it's attributable to my client in that report? Objection.
System.
Who? No, she didn't see the dog there or hear the dog there. She testified to that.
Do you recall telling Trooper Proctor that my client said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him? Objection.
You recall that?
Yes, I told him.
Who was taking notes at the time?
He was taking notes, correct?
Was that being memorialized in a formal report?
I'm assuming he,
The report is open.
Sustained.
I agree, SB.
January 29th, 11:35 or so a.m. interview that you did with Trooper Proctor.
yes, it does.
You said you could read that report in the past,
Yes, in the past.
and you're aware in no place in that report does the phrase "I hit him" show up. Correct? Objection.
Sustained.
Can I approach?
Yes.
Another sidebar.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't approach the witness. Sorry, I was going to approach the guy.
Not a sidebar.
I was just grabbing the report back.
It was approach the witness. I couldn't either. He wasn't using the microphone. Seems like it, don't it, Ashley?
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Sure.
I agree, Courtney.
I want to draw your attention to the very early morning hours of January 29th, around 4:53 a.m. when you indicated you received that phone call from Kaylee's phone. Do you have that time and date in mind?
Yes, I do.
My client told you that John had not come home, correct?
Yes.
And you knew that Miss Reed at that point was awake and looking for John.
I didn't know what, I just knew that she was awake and screaming.
Right, because she was worried about where John was. Objection.
Sustained.
You've been asked who you communicated with first thing that morning after you received that first call from Miss Reed, is that right?
Yes.
You were asked by Trooper Prince.
No, I have
in
it at
a
100.
Formal interview. Trooper Prince interviewed you on February.
The reason you guys can't hear it because he's moving around while he's questioning and he moves further away from the microphone. I have it at 100. There's nothing higher than 100, so that's on their end. I'm sorry.
First, about 3 days after the incident, correct?
I've met with a lot. I don't really remember specific days.
Do you remember
welcome.
a female trooper
Yes, I do actually.
Okay. In your house?
Yes.
Or I should say at your house?
Yes.
That was around 3 days after the incident?
Was it Tuesday maybe? Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
I think so, yes, if
Okay.
it's the one I'm thinking.
You were also asked at the same grand jury who you communicated with on the morning of January 29th.
Okay.
Remember that?
The dog, they didn't own him
Not
anymore.
specifically.
Would it refresh your recollection if we were to take a look at a specific page of that grand jury transcript?
Sure.
I know, I kind of giggled at that too, Crystal. How much is left? I really have to go to the bathroom, but I don't want to leave. What if I miss something huge?
Do you need a couple of minutes, Mr. Jackson?
I do, Your Honor.
So, George,
He needs
why
a
don't you stand up and stretch?
They're going to stretch, so I'm going to use bathroom. I'll be right back. Don't worry.
You can too. Turn.
Oh, Casey, Mama's got to move your bed. I'm sorry, honey. It's okay.
Mr. Jackson, do you want a 5-minute recess?
He just looks like
We're
a
still
puppy.
gonna stop at 4, so really 5 minutes, we'll still have to go back.
Did I miss anything?
Not that I'm aware of. No, they still got a fan going.
Okay, good. I cannot believe that this is actually a trial and not a movie, because this feels like a movie.
Well, I'm pretty sure they will eventually do a movie.
Then I moved this ahead a little. 60K likes. Thank you guys so much. That means so much to me. Hell, at this point, I would want to write a book about it. Thank you.
Scores in session, please be seated.
All right, whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McCabe, I want to draw your attention back to the morning, later in the morning, after you're back at 34 Fairview, after the police have already cleared the scene, and you're back with your friends and family inside the home at 34 Fairview. We've already talked about the fact that the witnesses were not sequestered in any way, they were not separated in any way by the police. Is that right?
We were just sitting together with friends
Right.
and family, so yeah, no.
Everybody was free, all the friends and family that were in there were free to talk amongst themselves, which you did do, correct?
Yes.
All right. Everybody had the opportunity to say their piece and to listen to others say their piece as well.
We had conversations. It wasn't really nothing more than that.
At some point, you did, I think you mentioned this on
No, it was more than that. Y'all made a timeline.
direct examination, you did reach out to Mike Lank. Is that right?
Yes.
Remind us who Mike Lank is in your world, in addition to being a Canton police officer, police sergeant, I think he was at the time. Who is he in your world?
He was just a local guy that I, knew, was friendly with.
And go to high school with?
No.
Was he ahead of you in high school?
We weren't in high school at the same time.
Got it. He was about 5 years ahead of you, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. But you've known him or known of him from basically childhood or young adulthood.
Yeah, just knew him from around town.
At some point, you decided that you were going to call Sergeant Lank back to the scene because there was a piece of information that you wanted to provide him again. Provide him so he needed to come back again.
Yes,
Ultimately, you called him on his cell phone, right?
I did, yes.
So you were close enough that you had his cell phone number, he had your cell phone number.
No, I didn't have his cell phone number.
Where'd you get that number?
I asked Julie Albert for that number.
So Julie had his cell phone number,
Yes, she did.
and Julie is Chris's wife.
Yes.
She was at the location.
Ashley, I had to block you for 5 minutes because I can't have that word sitting in my chat. Not
Yes.
block you, mute
When I say
you.
the location,
It'll be done in
34
5
that
minutes.
morning,
Yes.
as was Chris.
He came at some point. I don't know if he was there when I called Officer Lank or not.
As was Brian Higgins, correct?
Yes, he was.
He came back over to the location as well.
Yes, he did.
As a matter of fact, it was Brian Higgins who suggested that you reach out to
It's okay, I had it.
Officer Lank.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if it was him who suggested it.
Someone suggested to you that you reach out to Officer Lank, is that right?
As I was sitting there remembering things, I believe,
Thank you, Teresa.
I can't say who did or didn't.
So as you were sitting there remembering things, you weren't just remembering things, you were remembering things and then telling others things that you remember.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yes.
others were absorbing whatever information you were providing to them and vice versa.
No one was really providing me any information because they didn't know what happened.
So you were, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just sitting there trying to recount what had transpired since I got that 4:53 phone call.
And one of the things that you decided you wanted to tell Sergeant Lank was a statement by my client.
Yes,
So you call Sergeant Lank on his cell phone, and you're able to get a hold of him, correct?
yes.
Whatever he's doing, I'm guessing he was busy at the time.
I don't know what he was doing.
He's the first responder or definitely police officer based in hours old. So he had to be busy.
I would assume. I, again, don't know what he was doing.
But in fact, after you got the phone call, you dropped everything and headed back to 34 Fairview, correct? Did you come back to 34 Fairview?
No, just me.
He was there fairly quickly, yes, I would say.
That's your request.
Yes, I called him and asked him to come back.
Because you told him that you had information that was important enough that he needed to get over there so you could tell him in person what this new information was.
I called him and told him that I was remembering things and asked if he could come back.
And he didn't just say, "Yeah, just tell me what it is over the phone." He literally said, "Okay, I'm going to get in my car, drive in a blizzard." It was still a blizzard, right?
Yes, it was.
I'm going to get all my gear on, drive in a blizzard back over to 34 Fairview, get out of my cruiser, come into the house, and get ready for this new information that you're going to give me. Correct?
He did not say all that, no.
No, that's what he did.
I have no idea what he did. I called him and then he came. That's,
He came over his car, right?
I would assume so, yes.
So he had to get his car, drive over to Blizzard, get out of the car, walk through the Blizzard, go to the front door, and get ready for this new meeting that he's going to have. Correct?
Yes, that seems like steps one would take.
And whatever it was that you wanted to tell him, you let him know it was important enough to have a special additional meeting. It wasn't something that you were just going to sit on. You wanted to give him this information immediately without hesitation, correct?
He said if I remembered anything to give him a call, so I did.
So when he came back over, he obviously had a notepad and a pen in his hand, correct?
I believe he was taking notes.
And you told him, you testified this morning that what you told him was Karen Reed said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him," right?
Correct.
So when you wrote this report, you said, she said, "I hope I didn't hit him." Correct?
I don't have
Microphone,
his
Mr.
report in front of
Jackson.
me.
Please go to the microphone. We can't hear you. I'm too invested.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You can turn to the orange tab.
What do you have in store for us now, Mr. Jackson?
Do you see that?
I do, yes.
Okay, and you've had a chance to read it?
Just the highlighted
Okay.
part.
May I approach?
Yes.
In fact, what you told Officer Lang
Neither.
was some.
Nita, I had no idea you stepped away. You missed a lot. Don't worry, as soon as the live's over, I'll put it on YouTube. Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
Something to the effect of, "I hope I didn't hit him." Correct?
Incorrect. I told him that she said I hit him.
He wrote in his report, you just read, something to the effect of, "I hope I didn't hit him."
Sustained.
If I didn't have my husband here
Is
behind
this
me, I would be
another
in love with him
example of an
too.
officer getting a report wrong? Is that report right?
Your Honor.
Catnip. You want me to set up a blind date?
What? Blind date? What? You're trying to get a blind date?
I hope I didn't hit him.
Oh, I said for
Or
catnip.
something to the effect of,
Dork.
"I hope I didn't hit him."
How am I supposed to know? I mean, if you want to go on a blind date,
We're trying to hear.
It does sound similar, yeah.
Trying to get me in trouble.
You testified yesterday that during that first phone call, that first phone conversation with Ms. Reed at 4:53 a.m.,
Thank you for the
she
follow.
told you, according to your testimony, that in that phone call, in that very first phone call, Ms. Reed said she had gotten into a fight, her taillight was cracked, and she asked, could I have hit him or did I hit him? Correct?
Incorrect.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
In the first phone call, she had said we got into a fight and he didn't come home and I left him at the waterfall. In the second phone call, once I told her that I saw her outside of my sister's house on Fairview, that is when she said, could she have hit him, and talked about her taillight.
So
Thank you for the follow.
2 hours after Ms. Reed found John O'Keefe and began giving him CPR,
I had to pause for one quick minute. Natasha, happy birthday. I hope you have the happiest of birthdays, and we love you.
you were interviewed by Sergeant Sean Good.
I'll look at his
correct?
hand next time we see him.
Ask the question differently, Mr. Jackson.
2 hours after Ms. Reed found Mr.
Ray, are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Telling me to stop talking in my life? That just makes me want to talk more. If I want to stop and tell someone happy birthday, I will. Do I come to your house and tell you when you should stop talking? No, I don't.
Wait, somebody told you to stop talking?
It's right, they're already blocked.
About 2 hours later, say 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning, after the
Sorry.
scene was cleared. You were interviewed by Sean Good, were you not?
Objection.
Sustained.
May we approach you on?
Yes.
They're in a sidebar. As they're in a sidebar,
I'm sorry about my sniffling.
you're fine. That was not the one I wanted to play. Happy birthday to you. Sorry, guys, it's a long-standing tradition we have when it's someone's birthday. Oh, don't worry. I'll be putting the live up on YouTube after. You're more than welcome to grab it from there. Screen record the hell out of it. Maybe I'll do it for you. I really did try to get the regular happy birthday song, but that's just what it came up with twice. You're welcome. Thank you. The pretty long sidebar. What do you guys want to bet they call it? The question is, should they do what they honestly, I think they should do, which is drop all charges with prejudice. So they can't, charge her again? What do you mean? Karen walked out.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're gonna be a sister wife.
While you were at the scene, after Miss Reed had been
Okay.
giving CPR, Sean Good interviewed you, correct?
I don't remember a formal interview with Sean Good.
Do you remember talking to him?
When he arrived at the scene, I do remember briefly talking to him after all three of us gave John CPR.
And he asked you certain questions about what you'd seen, what you'd heard, what had happened, correct?
I have to tell you that I remember seeing him there and I remember talking to him, but I do not remember specifics of any conversation or any questions that he asked me.
Do you remember him asking you about any initial calls you had and you telling him about that 4:53 call and the early morning calls thereafter? The initial calls before you met up with Miss Reed?
I don't recall.
You guys are the
Did you
true crime
tell
sister
Sergeant
wives.
Good, by the way, he was a sergeant at the time. Sean Good was a sergeant, not an officer. Okay. By the way, you knew Sergeant Good, did you not?
I didn't know him. I knew of him, like I knew his name, but that was it.
How'd you know of him before that day?
Because his sister is a year or two younger than me, and I knew she had a brother that was younger, that was a Canton cop, just through the town, but I didn't know him.
You
Okay,
guys know a
friendly
lot
but
of
not
cops.
friends.
I wouldn't even say I was friendly with him.
Okay.
Aww.
You actually told
I think I'll still be married by
Sergeant
then.
Good at the time when he asked about those first phone calls that when Miss Reed called you, she was inquiring about John's whereabouts, correct?
Again, I don't recall my conversations with Sean Good.
You certainly never mentioned to Sergeant Good the incessant screaming and hysteria that you've described here in court. Okay. Did you ever mention anything about an argument or a fight to Sean Good?
Sister Mrs. Jackson, she said she didn't remember. Next question.
I have to go through the series of machinations. I don't know what she remembers and doesn't remember.
Good point, Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Jackson.
Did you mention anything about a cracked taillight to Sergeant Good?
Sister.
Do you have no memory at all about what you talked to Sergeant Good about?
There were many officers there,
Right.
and like I said, I know I talked to Sergeant Good, but I do not remember the specifics of my conversation during that chaotic scene.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
Let me ask a different question. There were many officers there, and many officers were asking you questions, correct?
Correct.
Did you ask?
I wish
I'm
I
sorry.
knew Mount
Did you
Lake.
tell any officer while at the scene that during those first few phone calls, first couple of phone calls with Miss Reed, that there was incessant screaming and hysteria?
Again, there were many officers asking me questions. Most of them were regarding who John was, if he had medical issues or concerns, things like that.
Right.
It was a chaotic scene. I don't remember any specific questions about phone calls. I apologize.
But you did tell at least one officer about the initial phone call that you received indicating that John may be missing, correct?
I possibly said I got a phone call and that's why I'm here. We all came out to look for him. I apologize for not remembering specifics.
Did you tell any officer at the scene anything about an argument or fighting that Miss Reed said occurred on that first couple of phone calls?
Again, the conversations were very brief and they were with a lot of different officers. There wasn't
yes or no?
in-depth conversations.
Yes or no?
Let her answer the question.
It's a yes or no
Do
question, Your
you
Honor.
recall? That is a yes or no question. Do you recall telling any officer about a conversation in the initial couple of phone calls that you had with Miss Reed about fighting or being in an argument? Do you recall that?
I cannot answer yes or no.
Yes, you
Or
can.
you don't? If you
I
don't,
said
you say
there
you
was
don't.
many different conversations. I am not sure.
So you don't recall?
I'm not sure on specific conversations about that. I apologize.
Is there a reason why you're not telling us that you simply don't recall making that statement?
Sustained.
Do you recall telling any officer about a cracked taillight that came up in one of those first 2 phone calls?
At the scene,
At the scene.
again, I think all the conversations were about what was happening in the present time.
And literally,
Listen, our Leo alpha female here is giving you some good advice. Just plead the fifth because, yeah.
this was a couple of hours after this incident, correct? When
I know,
everything was
Crystal.
freshest in your mind.
These conversations were at the scene when Miss Reed was running around screaming.
Were you also interviewed by Officer Mullaney?
Again, there were many officers there that I spoke to.
Ms. McCabe, do you understand my question? Do you understand the last question I asked?
If I spoke to an officer Mullaney,
Correct.
again, I could have. I am not sure. I don't remember every officer. It was a chaotic scene. I just found my friend on the ground.
So the answer is, I don't remember.
She's seriously going to try to get sympathy for not being able to say yes or no by saying, I just found my friend on the ground. That's the first time you brought that up, ma'am. Like that, anyways.
Don't remember speaking to him. No, sorry.
I haven't either. Maybe I should make this my next book.
You did have a conversation with Officer Lank that you actually do remember, correct?
Yes, correct.
What you told Officer Lank, or Sergeant Lank, was that you received a phone call from Kaylee's phone and that Karen Reed was distraught because John never came home, correct?
I told him she was, I don't remember the exact words, but I told him something like she was hysterical and screaming and said John never came home.
You never mentioned that she said anything about a fight during that initial phone call, correct?
Again, I'm not sure what exactly was said during that initial phone call.
You never mentioned that she said something about a cracked taillight in that initial phone call or those 2 phone calls, correct?
Are these phone calls with who? Who are these phone calls? Who am I speaking to
The
at this
initial
point?
phone calls that you had with Miss Reed,
Yes.
you never mentioned to Officer Lank or Sergeant Lank that Miss Reed mentioned anything about a fight or an argument, correct?
I don't remember.
You never mentioned anything about Miss Reed saying anything about a cracked taillight in one of those 2 initial phone calls, correct?
Again, I don't remember all the things that I told Officer Lank.
And you certainly never mentioned that Miss Reed said anything about could I have hit him in either of those initial phone calls, correct?
Again, I don't remember my specific conversation with Officer Lank.
So you don't remember the conversation that you had with Officer Lank when it was the clear light of day, you'd had a chance to take a beat and a breath, catch your breath, because it's now 11 o'clock in the morning. You don't remember anything about that conversation, but according to your testimony, you remember in detail what my client said, waking you out of a dead sleep.
Correct.
So I didn't speak to him at 11:30. It was earlier in the morning when he came back to Fairview.
Ma'am, he didn't ask you that, and I thought you didn't remember if you even spoke to him or not. Now you remember a time and that you actually spoke to him?
Okay.
Whatever. It wasn't the same chaos as my client screaming into the phone that John never came home, waking you out of a dead sleep, correct?
Correct.
But when you recounted that conversation or those conversations to Sergeant Lank, you didn't say a thing about Miss Reed saying that there had been an argument, did you?
I'm saying I don't remember the specifics of my conversation with Officer Lank. I'm also saying that I was woken up out of a dead sleep. Karen showed up at my house screaming. I went out to help her look for John. And then we found one of my closest friends on the front lawn And she was saying crazy things and acting crazy and
Ms. McCabe,
acting
that's not
Push harder.
neurotic.
You
And
almost
so
have her.
every
Ms.
police
McCabe, that is
officer
not my
that I
question.
spoke
Let her
to,
finish.
every police officer that I spoke to, I tried to answer their questions the best I could. It took me hours and in some cases days to remember all the things that Miss Reed had said. My mind, I was in a state of shock. But the minute I remembered, she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. I called Officer Lang.
She should not have been allowed to say all that.
Even as we stated today, correct?
There are certain things I will never forget, Mr. Jackson.
Including the fact that you never, ever said, she said, the words I did to a grand jury when you were asked about it 3 months afterwards. Correct?
She said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit
You
him.
never told that to the grand jury, did you?
I don't remember specifically that every grand jury and everything I said, but I can tell you with 100% accuracy, she screamed, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
You never said that to the grand jury.
I don't recall if I
You were
did.
there to get the truth, correct?
The truth is, she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
You were asked that specific question at the grand jury. What did she say at the scene in front of the female EMT? And you know what your answer was? You do, because you just read it.
I wasn't asked what she was said at
What
the
was the
scene.
answer to that question?
Object.
The objection sustained. Ask one more clear question, Mr. Jackson.
What was the answer you gave in answer to the question about what was said by Miss Reed to the EMT, the female EMT at the scene? What did you say she said?
I don't know if I was asked specifically what she said to a female EMT.
All right, we're going to end this now.
Your Honor, may I have one more question?
Go ahead.
I can't end it like this. You said
Okay,
she
jurors,
said.
ignore the comments of counsel. Ask one question, Mr. Jackson.
You said that she said, could I have hit him? Did I hit him in the presence of the female EMT? That's what you testified to under oath at the grand jury, isn't it?
Yes, because she also said that.
All right, so folks, we are done for today. You remember tomorrow is the day that we're not in session. So
There's no court tomorrow.
we'll see you Friday. Friday is a full day, and I have to give you those questions. File out after the jurors.
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into
Bless
the
you.
case. If
Yeah,
you
she
have
just said there's no
any
court tomorrow, but they'll see him on
read
Friday.
about the case, please disregard it and let us know. Be very careful with
I cannot believe.
your social media.
Do they think? Maybe court just works different in Massachusetts. Bless you. I don't understand. Bye. The thing just told us goodbye. I said bye for. Yeah, he's sick. Yeah, she just stopped your husband. How dare she? I don't know how dare she because I've never seen a judge get this involved. Not to this degree. Sure the hell did. All right, we got to do a poll before you guys run off really quick. Based on everything you've heard today, if you think Karen Reed is guilty, put the smile face. If you think she's innocent, put the cry face. You hit the cry face or the smile face. Cry face is not guilty. Smile face is guilty.
Mr. Jackson, I'm not rushing you in any way. I just want to know
Yes,
how much
you
longer
are.
do you think you'll be?
Your Honor, 10 seconds.
Sure, take your time.
I would expect that I would say an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay.
He has another hour and a half
Mr.
for 2
Brennan,
hours.
Do you have any idea how much longer you will be?
With Mrs. McCabe,
Yes.
it depends on how the rest goes, but certainly at this point, 20 minutes or less.
All right. So that will hopefully take us to the luncheon recess, the morning recess or the luncheon recess at most. Do you have witnesses lined up for Friday afternoon?
I do have a number of witnesses ready for the next 3-4 days.
49 if you think
And
she's
I will
innocent.
try to tighten the order tomorrow morning, and I'll let the court and the defense know.
Great. All right. And nothing you need to see me about right now?
Not for the Commonwealth.
All right. We'll see you on Friday.
Okay, now I have a question, a very important question, guys. Every day that we've done this trial, we've started at noon. They don't have court tomorrow, so they will start at 8 o'clock on Friday. Should we keep with starting at 11 or 12 so that way we could fast forward through the breaks, or are we wanting to start right on time? I can't either. I've never seen this happen. Yes to what? Yeah, which one is yes? Let's just do a poll. Make it easier on you guys. If you guys still want to start at 11 or 12 Central Time to fast forward through the breaks, tap the smile face. If you want us to start early, tap the cry face. So, starting it late are the winners so far, right? If we start at the same time, which will be at either 11 or 12, or we start at 8 a.m. when they're scheduled to be in session, because the fast forwarding through the through the breaks. All right. Then we will continue at this time on Friday. I wish I didn't have to say this, but I've had a great time here with you guys today. Normally you don't have to, you shouldn't probably say that when it's a court for somebody's murder. But it's like a damn movie. I cannot believe the things that have been allowed there. Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for getting me over 70,000 likes. I absolutely adore you guys. I will see everybody take tomorrow off, and I will see you guys on Friday. I wish you luck. I will say a prayer for you, Parker. We'll be here. If you're okay, so 9 a.m. your time Pacific. We'll start at 11 Central. I hope that you guys have an amazing night. Thank you for being so awesome. It's so hard to do this unless you have an awesome group of people with you. So thank you guys so much. You guys have a great night. Bye, guys.